Okay, hello. First, over the course of your few days together on the road with Ada Worthware, and the days that you have spent, I'm sorry, the hours you have spent together in Suzale, you're starting to get a pretty good mental picture of what the city looks like. It is thus that I'm going to provide you with an annotated map. One moment. So there are multiple ways to access this. This is a high resolution version on Incarnate. Feel free to
amazing.
Isn't it? Please take a moment with this and familiarize yourselves. Some things that would not make sense on a legend, like Ada's apartment, for example, are not listed on here, but I have a feeling you'll be able to orient yourselves quite well.
This is really good.
Yeah, this is amazing. What? There's a Temple of Mystra? Why the fuck didn't Ada say anything about that?
Because Ada would know that temple could even be in air quotes for that. The Temple of Mystra is no longer a temple.
I wonder why. Who's Lyra?
I hardly know.
Lyra,
That was the Seldarine.
Lyra, someone with a potential tie-in for Nothing Gold. Please, if you have questions, clarifications, things around here that don't make sense, or now hopefully you can see exactly how everything fits together. I'm sure you can.
God, now part of me wishes we'd have broke into the Zenthus customs shed instead.
There might still be time, my friend.
TikTok.
I was wondering what that building was.
Municipal office. Interesting.
And of course, there may be things unlabeled on the map that are just beyond the realm of your reckoning. It is such that we find ourselves with three unique pieces of the party here. We have Ada Worthware in her apartment. We have Nothing Gold prowling toward the northeast gate. And inside the Ross and Company machine shop, we find Yoros, Taldrid, and Brenner. And with the map that's currently up, we have Yoros, Taldrid, and Brenner. So why don't the three of you go first?
Brenner's poring over after taking the gnomish tools and pocketing them. It's been poring over the papers. His face goes gone. At this point, face mask up. Just roll the place.
I will nod and just dive into looking through the boxes. Now, since I have intention of finding something important, can I take my time doing this and just take a 20 investigation to find something?
You absolutely can. You can focus your efforts because you are looking for something specific to you and you find something relevant. You know where to look. You know that you are on the cusp of much of this correspondence. Much of this seems to involve you, Yoros. One moment. You find something. It's on your character sheet. Taldrid, what are you up to?
So Taldrid has found this thing, and he's convinced if it's not what he's looking for, it's something adjacent to what they're looking for. And as such, again, the only reason I'm even gonna try this is because he spent so much time with Theseus, looking at this tinkering shit. I want to know if, by looking at this thing, can he find anything that looks like it synergizes with this item he has?
You look and find a variety of things you think, could this be it? Could that be it? Any item that is the right shape and size just doesn't seem to quite fit. You find things like a telescoping set of gears. You find things like a carefully machined cylindrical rock. Everything you put in there just seems to rattle around, or it doesn't quite fit. You sense that it's missing something, and that something might not be here on the workbench.
Just so we're clear, my insight is that it's not here on the workbench or here in the building, period.
That is, after spending some time searching, that's the impression that you get. You can try pretty much anything here that seems like it would be in the realm, and nothing seems to quite click.
Gotcha.
Brenner's basically just trying to pick up any pieces of paper that seem even vaguely relevant. He feels at this point he has the information that he needs, but anything more that would line into that, taking through desks.
You continue to find more things that shore up what you already have. You find a number of purchase orders. You find lots of correspondence. It all seems to be roughly in the same realm, and what you already have seems representative of what's there to get.
Turn back to Taldra and Yora. We should keep it quiet, but we gotta go.
All right, I found about as much as I can.
I will clutch this paper I have, and I will just silently leave.
The three of you are leaving out the back door, it appears?
Yes. The door that we came through.
Which was the back door that you broke into?
Correct.
Yes, one moment.
Remember, the silence isn't up anymore, so we're making noise now.
You find yourselves, once again, in the sales district of Suzail, here on the waterfront, and we will come back to you in a moment. Nothing Golden Ada, why don't the two of you roll initiative? And just let me know who's going first.
Nothing gold. You take it.
Nothing Gold. You've been foisted, going second in the initiative order. You find yourself in the Northeast Gate realm here in Suzail.
There's quite a few people around.
There are. Even though it is nighttime, there is a relatively, compared to other human settlements that you've been in, this place has far more activity at night. Not everybody is asleep, even though it's getting rather late.
And the general feeling of the crowd is jovial? Are people celebrating? Are they fighting?
Why don't you roll insight?
These count as low light conditions, right?
Absolutely.
$15?
You sense an optimism amongst the crowd. It seems like people are buzzing with excitement. You sense that more often than not, the people coming through here seem to be tourists, as if something is just on the cusp of happening. You study this group of well-dressed people standing at the T intersection here, and you ascertain several things about them. One, you can tell from their accent and the way that they dress that they are Sembians. Two, you can tell what they're doing. They're scouting out to see if Suzail is a good place to do business. High up on the wall, you see Purple Dragon Knights studying you as you walk through the streets here, Nothing Gold.
If only Ada were here to talk up Suzail as a wonderful place to do business. The tent up north, is it open?
It is, and you can see directly inside. There is little in here except for the promise of future wares. You see rolls of canvas set out across the ground. You see small wooden tables suitable for holding valuable curios. You sense that potentially at another time, there may be things of great interest here.
Another time. Gosh, alright.
In your mind's eye, you can imagine a 10-foot tall Afridi getting stuck in customs.
Yeah, they would. All right, she will, I guess, start to make her way south. She's holding on to the crystal, so I think she'll start chatting with Ada, and say, "Hey, I'm out in the city. I was able to get in and out of the Paladin's place. They're certainly thriving, unfortunately for us."
Unsurprising. I was being followed, so I decided to go back to the apartment.
Oh yes, your friend. Did you see him again?
I heard him.
Did you be friendly?
No, I have no wish to. And you should be careful out there.
Aren't we trying to get rid of Maris and find our own contacts among the Zent?
That is not a task I have the flavor for.
Are you sure? I think you could be great at this, actually.
Nothing, Gold. We'll talk when you get back. Have
Are-
fun in the night.
You'll talk to demons but not to Zent agents? Alright. Well, let me know if you need anything while I'm out here. I'm taking the long way back.
Sounds appropriate.
One moment. Nothing Gold. You take the long way home and arrive somewhere familiar. The East Waterfront. A pair of guards study you and give you a respectful nod.
She avoids their gaze as she walks on by. The druid that she saw earlier was going into the long look.
That is correct.
What is this cat doing?
You're welcome to speculate about the motivations of the city cats.
I mean, she'll just walk up to it.
It's a small, striped tabby cat. As
She'll reach out to it to see if it is feral.
you reach out to it, it nuzzles your hand. You realize that this is happening in the shadow of the Temple of Sirik to your south. The cat seems friendly enough, however.
And well fed?
Nothing seems particularly wrong with it. It nuzzles your hand and it feels healthy and spry. Curious. Interested. What are the motivations of cats, you wonder?
She will try to stealthily cast Speak with Animals.
Roll stealth at disadvantage.
Disadvantage? But she has the cloak.
You'll have to trust me.
Okay, disadvantage. $12.
One moment. You cast Speak with Animals. You surge with the power of the Selvarine. You feel like someone's watching you. The cat perks its ears up and looks right at you.
Hello, new friend.
Hi.
How's the city tonight?
It's good.
You notice anything interesting?
It gets distracted by a bird flying overhead and watches the bird carefully. It ignores you for a long moment as it watches the crow.
Same, honestly. You notice anything unusual?
Unusual? What do you mean? It has a stupid little cat smile.
Just more birds than you were expecting to see, perhaps.
Standard amounts of birds. It prowls around at your feet. You realize... Go ahead.
What do I realize?
You realize that perhaps the intersection of cat thoughts, dryad thoughts, and human thoughts must be wonderfully small.
Do you live around here?
I live where I see fit. As if to prove the point, it jumps up on the low wall here.
Have you been outside this temple all night, by any chance? This building.
It tilts its head. What's in it for me? It poofs up its tail and starts to walk away.
Oh shit, okay, she'll use the horn of Shantae and we'll gamble to see what we can tempt the cat with.
What do you produce? Do you produce something cat appropriate?
Oh, let's see what a 4 gets me. Oh, jelly? Honey?
You produce a tiny glass jar of royal jelly. It emerges in your hand by the bounty of Shantea. The cat tilts its head, looking interested but not appetized. Why don't we visit Ada Worthware? Oh, one moment, I'm sorry. There we go. Ada Worthware. Ada, you find yourself freshly taunted by nothing gold. Here alone in your city apartment.
I am going to spend some time studying my spell book. Specifically, so this is a book that explains how to tap into the Demon Wave. And I have not decoded all of it because it's in Infernal, and there are many dialects, and it's hard for somebody like a primeling like myself to figure it out. I would like to spend some time figuring out some of the fine print to help explain some of the things I saw yesterday when I used it.
We will view this as a major project of yours, something that will take some time. You meditate on your spellbook, much in the same way that we have a drill manual in the group, that when you study it for a long period of time, you can ascertain additional insights into yourself. This spellbook, your access to the Demon Weave, will function much of the same way. You spend some time studying it tonight, attempting to find out more about yourself. We will revisit that at some later point. Now, Ada, it's very hard to tell if you're imagining things or not. But you swear, as you sit here studying your spellbook, that you hear a rhythmic humming, like someone's humming a little song to themselves, going around the perimeter of your apartment. Could just be a night watchman, but that seems a bit out of character.
I am going to try around the perimeter of the outside of the apartment. Not
The
hallway.
outside. The outside.
I'm going to crack open a blind and see what I can see.
You see the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Suzail at night. Little spires rising into the twilight. The sea to your south. Trees swaying gently in the wind. Nothing to give you pause. It's nice to be home, isn't it, Ada?
It is. And with the included intrigue, nothing's really changed. I'm going to reach around under the bed to see if anything's stored under there from the old times.
You do find one thing. But it's not yours. It is 1/4 of a bottle of gin.
It's mine now.
Possession is 9/10 of the law. Why don't we revisit you? Why don't we stop by the sales district? What's going on with our intrepid adventurers here?
We should probably keep our heads down. Across the table, is there a obvious path to the shoreline back towards the apartment complex, or is it just a straight drop into the docks?
You mean, could you cut east from here, or would you have to go
Yes.
back to the road? Cutting east through here, you'd be cutting through the back of several businesses. You could do it, but you sense that this would be maybe clambering over things depending on how you did it. Definitely possible. It's an option you can take, but your impression immediately is that you'd be going through like the loading docks of businesses. You might have to open a fence or two. Definitely possible, but those are the parameters.
Bruno pointed out, at least, that is an option. I think either way we're gonna stand out.
There's nothing wrong with standing out. I do it everywhere I go.
Shine
So,
on, Taldred.
Don't mind if I do.
We head back to the apartment then.
Yep.
So what? Just through the streets, just like that?
Why not?
Confidence does cure suspicion, I suppose.
Fair enough.
I just want to make sure we understand. Acting like you're not suspicious is one of the most suspicious things you can do.
So we're gonna act suspicious.
We're going to talk loudly. We're going to carry on, and no one's going to get in our way.
Well, at least close this door behind us and make it look like
What door?
distance. Put it back on the hinges.
The door was attacked and has a vicious chunk of iron taken out near where the door closes. It swings freely on the hinges with no easy way of closing it.
Does it swing in or out?
Out.
Okay. Let's just put let's swing it back in and put a little something at the corner to hold it in place.
Quick question. Could I mend the door?
You could try.
Real quick, like, Charles goes, all right, real quick, like, just fuck. Let me make sure, let me double check, like, that I have it prepared, because I can't imagine I wouldn't.
It's a cantrip.
I know it is, but I might not have prepared it. I did, mending, yes.
Proceed as you see fit.
I forgot names. Brenner will tug at yours' shoulder. Should cover him. And Brenner will walk closer to the dock side to give breadth. Man in shining armor with another one, blocking the line of sight were anybody to turn the corner, seeing him try to mend this door.
Are you casting the mending spell?
Yes, 100%.
You surge with power from the Seldarine. You cast the mending spell. The door, which is a non-magical heavy iron door, is mended. The crack in it is smoothed over magically, and the door is once again, as far as you can tell, operational.
Is it locked?
It is currently slightly ajar.
Taldred tries to close it very carefully.
You close it, and it closes with a satisfying click.
Is it locked now?
It does not seem locked. You're able to open it once again.
As long as it's closed, it's fine.
Fine, whatever. I had one last thing to investigate here. What's the ground situation like?
Looking down at your feet, you see a small pile of ancient cigarettes, long smoked. There are 2 crates here, as if people have been sitting here for some time.
I'm interested in dust, dirt, mud. What are we working with here? Any of that?
You find yourself living a dirty life, Taldred Talton. There is dirt, mud, silt, soil. There are a number of constituent classes of crud at your feet.
How do our footprints look? Is it obvious? Like, I feel like anybody could figure out. You know, 3 guys wearing plate shoes came through here, or 2 and another. So,
Taldred Talton, you have investigated many a thing in your capacity as an adventurer. Looking down at your feet, you realize, wow, it would not be hard at all to determine that a few people tramped through here.
Taldred is going to relay this to the group, and he goes, do we have some way to tidy this up, smooth it out? Anybody got anything for me? Is there even maybe there's a fucking broom nearby? Is there a push broom or something?
You see a push broom, but it's a few shops down. It's resting against the back of the tanner's shop.
What do we think about the risk reward here, guys?
I'll just go get it.
Sounds good.
Brenner's just gonna walk to the tanner shop.
It looks extremely closed and smells strongly of tanning agents. You now have a simple push broom.
He'll take it, look around, walk back to the group. Begin sweeping.
What?
I think that would be hard for Brenner.
Describe to
You're
me.
correct.
Yes, I have several questions. 1, how do you use a broom? 2, what effect will it? We're just like swishing mud around to try to like obscure the fact that there were boots?
I believe that was the idea, yeah. He can tuck it underneath of his arm. The top of it is behind the shoulder, and he's holding it, just pushing it forward.
I see you trying to do this, and I'm just gonna hold my hand up to you. Let me try something real quick. I'm gonna lean down to the ground, put my hand on it, and I'm gonna press the digitate. See if I can smooth out the area.
You do so, using a magical hand to smooth over the bit of mud. When you're done, it looks relatively unscathed.
Alright. Brenner will just prop the broom up between the 2 buildings.
Make it a broom outfit too.
You leave the broom there.
Well, I took up the Brockus conversation last time. Either of you have any fine war stories to bellow about?
Taldred says, do I? And as they're walking out, people will hear him regaling a story, which includes a bit. As they're walking by these people specifically, Taldred's going to say, so there I was, stark naked, and these 2 dwarf ladies were pissed. So I turned to the one with the warhammer, and that's where the story cuts out.
Roll performance at advantage.
One of those is a 21.
You regale passersby with lurid stories about your questionable life. Is the goal for the 3 of you to, the 2 of you to accompany Taldred east on the road?
Correct, yes.
We'll,
Head back towards the apartment building.
we'll revisit you momentarily. One moment. Nothing gold. You find yourself holding a jar of royal jelly brought to you by arcane means. You see a very unimpressed tabby cat looking up at you. It sees that you have something and then poofs its tail and starts walking away, as cats do.
She'll use the minor illusion cantrip to make a little fish that sort of spawns from her fingertips and swims through the air around it, circling around it to try to circle its attention back to her.
You surge with the power of the Seldrine. You summon a small illusionary cat that instantly gets the cat's attention. It traces the cat through the air. You realize that the guards are watching you. The cat seems extremely interested and follows the fish with its little angular head.
If you want to eat a real one of these, I'll need your help.
Roll persuasion at advantage. No, nature at advantage.
$17.
You attempt to enlist the help of this city cat. It seems to consider your offer for a moment, and then it compresses its spine a bit, arching its back, and walks towards you. Okay. What do you need?
The people that come out of this temple.
It tilts its head, as if it's not sure what you're talking about.
There are 2 women who come in and out of this temple. I need to know where they go.
The cat shrugs its little face, as if it can't quite parse the complexity of what you're asking it. You ask this cat for such a complex thought that the best it can do is nuzzle the air. You think you lost this little creature asking about 2 women at night. Where do they go?
All right, the next person who comes out of this door, can you scratch them?
It goes, yeah.
Great, I'll get you that fish. Thank you. she'll walk away with that.
You walk away. Walking into the long look.
Yes.
One moment.
We're just gonna act like all of this was a natural interaction.
We will revisit you in the long look momentarily. Taldrid, Euros, Brenner. You walk east along the road toward the residential part of the city. Euros. You swear someone just bumped up against you, but then there wasn't anyone there. But you swear you just felt somebody. Like somebody pushed up against you for a moment, but there's nobody there. You find yourself somewhere familiar.
I'm gonna look around real quick. Does Brenner look like he's stumbling a little?
Does he?
I don't think so at this point, no. He's certainly more off balance than usual, but not clumsy and falling over himself.
I'll look over my shoulder for a second.
You look over your shoulder. You see, from what you can ascertain, nothing particularly out of the ordinary.
I will shake my head and move on.
Make our way into the front of the apartment complex.
You do so, going somewhere that is now familiar, Ada's little apartment. One moment.
Do I notice this cat while I'm walking by?
How could you not?
Does it look like nothing gold?
You're having a hard time telling. It's night. This cat is just running along the edge of the tree line there. When you see it, it bounds away into the bushes. And you can see its little glassy eyes studying you from inside of a shrub. You do so. Ada, suddenly walking through the door, are your companions.
I think I just saw Nothing Gold on the beach. Wasn't she supposed to be somewhere else?
She's wherever she wants to be right now.
Well, she ran into the bushes, so I guess that checks out.
It tracks.
She ran into the bushes?
Yeah, there's 2 little benches down there towards the shore. I
Yeah.
guess it would be to the right of the bushes.
It's okay. I will take your whatever word for whatever you're trying to tell me.
I'm just saying, I just saw her from the past.
You're just saying. It's wonderful. How did your main Providence go?
Brenner pretty solemnly just steps straight up to Ada, ruffles into his pack, and presents 2 sheets of paper, or many.
I'll grasp them and read them.
Keep it brief. Mistress dead. They are making a life support system. They're draining her.
Who's giving them access to her?
That's a good question. More so, I think this, point to a much larger piece of paper, or long end-up document. I think this one tells us at least how they're getting access to the Shadowy.
Where is this document?
They're on Brenner's sheet. You can just scroll it. I'm
Is
not
it
hiding
accounts
anything.
receivable?
Yeah, it's those 2, and if you scroll down, it should also be precedent setters. That's the first one he hands you.
I will take a moment to study this in both senses of the word.
I haven't shown you this paper I've been clutching the whole time, and I will kind of unwrinkle it and I'll hand it over to you as well.
Is that also on your character sheet?
It's on my character sheet at the bottom right.
Is that available to everybody, or just Ada at the moment?
I'm just gonna basically put it on the table and slide it over so anybody can look at it if they
Okay.
want.
Just asking for permission.
Who's Raymond Ross?
I think he's the proprietor of Ross & Co. It's the name of the machine shop. But whatever they're making in there, I think is how they're giving out the,
If you were trying to reanimate a dead deity of the highest echelon of power, would you go to a machine shop in Cizale and conscript 2 gnomes?
I think it's a bigger business than that. They're funneling thousands and thousands of gold. It probably isn't just those 2 gnomes. They might have been the ones that started.
Knowledge? Is it common knowledge? This is crazy to me.
I think those in power, it's common knowledge too. We have the
Apparently.
Flaming Fists, we have people from everywhere.
He's right. The Fists, whenever they had a large project, would break it up into smaller sections and hand them out to other contracts, I suppose.
Typically, discretion is the highest order of business in the Zentarum. I'm shocked that it would reach this low. Or maybe their organizational structure is just less impressive than I thought.
Could be.
Maybe they
alright.
feel like nobody can stop them, so why even hide it?
Well, they're about to find out. Yoros, sorry, let me read yours.
Yeah.
As you pour over these multiple documents, why don't we check in on something far more interesting? Nothing Gold walking into the Long Look at night. There's no papers here, only people drinking. As you walk in, you see the druid you saw earlier. She's watering the plants with a tiny green watering can. There are lots of people here.
I think she'll sort of get out of the way of the doorway, looking around, and then find some artful way to walk up to this druid with the watering can she spotted earlier.
You better find an artful way. She seems like she's working. It's rather tough to talk to somebody when they're on the job, isn't it? In fact, as you try to summon some type of subtle way to approach her, she walks past you, placing a hand on your shoulder to delicately move you out of the way.
Is she some kind of wood elf?
Why don't you roll perception?
Nat 20 on perceiving this druid?
You look at her and you realize something quite quickly. Those aren't real elven ears. They seem to be pasted on to her head. They look like enamel, maybe ivory, that's been painted to resemble her skin tone.
Okay, what is she just watering things?
She's watering all of the plants in the room.
How about that? What about her makes me think she's a druid to begin with?
Everything about her appearance suggests a druidic nature. She's wearing a floral dress. Her over top, she has a green vest. Her hair is done in a way that would suggest druidic magics. Everything about her seems to be done as if being a druid was simply a uniform that you could wear.
So this is druid cosplay, is what we're potentially running into here.
I would never say such a thing. Should you choose to draw that conclusion, you may. The four grubby halflings are squabbling amongst themselves. In the southeast corner of the room, up against the windows that look out over the water, you see two people having a delicate, quiet conversation. Their bodyguards judge you with a measure of apprehension. Would you like me to come back to you, Nothing Gold, while you take all this in?
Yeah, there's so many people here.
Back in Ada's apartment.
After reading through it, Brenner will place his hand on Eurus' shoulder.
Yoros, I'm so sorry.
Fuck, man. That's good though, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. I don't know what it is.
Do you actually not understand? I think it's pretty clear.
Same.
I understand what it means, but I also don't understand.
Why don't you tell us what you think it means and we'll help you paint in the holes.
So if moss isn't a thing,
Mm-hmm.
according to this correspondence, whatever this is, how the fuck am I using magic?
Well, that's a great question. But it's not moss.
No, it's not. So this thing I wanted to not have ever in the first place is apparently mine regardless.
I know your memory isn't the best, but bear with me. When did you get to do magic first? What changed?
His eyes are just going to glaze over.
Yoros,
Did-
in many ways of understanding right now, for the first time in a long time, you are your own man and you get to make your own decisions. Not Moss, not the Flaming Fist, not anybody else decides your fate. So you know that the Flaming Fist and the Moss are false and not on your side. But you are on your side. What will you do with that?
I don't know. all you've done is serve the fists. And have been told there's some guide with you at all time.
Well, you should be happy, because your own providence, ingenuity, and willpower drove you through, not some fake code of honor and not some fake deity. It was all you.
Even if it was all me, just under the pretense of orders, right? If you're always following orders, what else do you have?
You still have you. I gave out a lot of orders to a lot of soldiers greener than you. They came back better for it, or worse. But they made the decision to follow it, or not.
Well, whatever it means. Where's my squad? They took my squad and put this armor on me. So how do we find them? What's going on with the rest of the fists?
Your squad was taken from you?
Yes, I mentioned this, didn't I? Maybe many moons ago, and it was brief, but...
So you were a leader of a squad, and they removed that, and...
Yes, I told you, I was a scouting regiment. There was 5 of us, including myself.
and they're holding that over you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you would have a better idea of where they'd be than we would. These documents list at least 2. So, across the table, I think it's the western and the center. But North Barracks and the Central Command. These...
Yoros, they may be in similar situations to you. Clearly you were manipulated into this cause. You're not the first person to have been manipulated. Present company, all included. And I will elbow Taldred. I would guess that your armor channels a conduit to the Shadow Weave without requiring an intermediate such as Moss. But built in is some sort of surveillance mechanism where you willingly give them information, them being the Flaming Fist or whoever they are a surrogate for, which I assume, I'll hold up, the Brenner document is related to this.
I mean, that would explain how they were able to move into the other city so fast.
That would explain a lot of things. It would explain a lot of the gear that we lifted off of the 2 Flaming Fist officers. And it would explain their erratic and aggressive behavior. They felt empowered by something. Or maybe they had a greater cause. Either way, what this means to you is you are for the first time in your life, get to decide what is right and wrong for you instead of somebody else telling it to you. And you're going to have to think about that.
Well, that brings up another question. Can I take off this armor?
Let's try.
I mean, are they still... If this armor is what they're using to get information, that means everything we've done in Suzail, at least what I've done, they would know about.
What did
Maybe.
they tell you was the worst thing would happen if you took the armor off?
I was told that because there was a spirit, warden, whatever, bound to the armor and bound to me, if the armor comes off, the contract is null and void. I'm out. The squad's out.
Okay, and how long ago did they tell you that?
When I got it, I suppose, so... At least... Couldn't even tell you the time frame. It's been at least a year.
Yoros, this is important, okay? When was the last time you bathed?
You do kind of stink.
I've been cleaning myself with magic.
Yoros. Back to reality. If their thinly veiled threat was to punish your squad should you disobey them, I think that is either an idle threat or has already happened.
I think we're, far past that now.
I think we're far past that, and also, one does not make a device such as this on a large scale without sacrificing something. Or someone.
I may not be the only one as well.
I agree. Your squad may all be in the same position. I think that is an idle threat from them. And I would not trust anyone who would make such a threat to bind you in such a way for a year. Personally. You get to make your own choice again. And a magic item such as this is usually not required to talk to a demonic patron.
I mean, according to this document, I've been talking to just some guy in a chair.
I think there's a message spell attached to this, and I agree. There's somebody in an office somewhere who has practiced throwing their voice very well. What is the last thing Moss asked of you?
Last time I heard from Moss, when we were fighting Avery.
And after Avery went down, we no longer heard from Moss, right?
Yes, that checks out.
I think the coincidence is too great to understate. Either it was Avery or somebody under his employ who no longer sees the relevance of the orders.
But if it was Avery, why would Avery tell me to kill himself?
Yeah, that's a good question. That doesn't make sense to me. So it's not Avery, it's somebody else. But the fact that the link was ruined when Avery fell from prominence, I think is more than coincidental.
Actually, I think the answer to that question might be in those papers. Payments weren't paid.
Ah.
So whoever was Moss stopped getting paid, wanted to kill his false employer. As it stands, do you want to try to take the armor off? I think you're in capable hands. He glances over to Taldr. You think you can keep him together?
I'm not gonna bathe him. What?
No.
Can you remove curse?
Oh, yeah. No, that's fine.
Let's start there. We can avoid the negative fallback of this, perhaps, with an avoid curse boon from Taldred's deities.
Would you like me to do it ahead of time? That's generally how this works. I've done it quite often.
Give it a shot.
Yoros, don't let us rush you. Why don't you think on it? This is important to you. You should treat it that way.
It is, but I mean, if this is how I'm getting my magic, shouldn't we keep it?
Do you want your magic? Everything you've told me says you don't.
I don't, but I also see that it's useful to us in this moment.
Not everybody has to sacrifice their soul for the sake of getting a little bit of magic. I think you are well capable on your own.
To be fair, I don't think you're the right person to tell me that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm already doing it.
So what's one more?
You don't have to.
Eurus, what do you believe in?
I mean, up until a week ago, just doing the right thing.
Do you believe in the Flaming Fist?
I still believe in their overall creed, yes.
Right. Listen. This spell plague, it made everything in this world worse. All right? I truly believe that there was probably a point in time where Major Avery might have been a good person. Okay? It is up to you to decide if perhaps you can take this and turn this, and you said you want to do the right thing, and we all want to. Well, I'm here to save the world entirely. But my point is, don't you want the fist to change? And don't you want to be the hand that changes the fist?
At the very least, I can help clean up the bad actors.
Good.
Exactly.
So just put your right foot forward. If you want to keep it, I'll respect the decision. It probably will come in handy in the morning. But know that we're here for you. You've shown that you're here for us. At least me.
At the very least, can you see what, if it's even cursed?
Oh,
mean, I've already
that's
been-
actually a good question. Can
It's
I?
scammed 4 times now, apparently.
Could I do some kind? Well, or would Ada be better at this kind of check?
No, you would.
Okay then. What kind of check should we go for? Should we do detect magic, or should we just?
Detect magic.
You-
It is
yeah.
magic.
Okay.
You attempt to ascertain whether or not Euros' armor is cursed. You realize something quickly upon inspecting it. How would you take this off? There's no clasps. How did it even get on in the first place?
Okay. Taldred. So he's like circling Euros, and he goes, "How did you even get this on?"
Didn't put it on, they did. I've told you this many times.
Did
I
they
don't
knock you out?
And I had
I-
the yes, something.
Oh.
I woke up and I had the armor on. I've said this.
What the fuck?
Not to apologize. I guess we weren't really listening.
I mean, I know I'm an idiot, but I'm not gonna lie to you.
I respect that.
I just thought that maybe your interpretation of certain events could have been muddled by the.
Muddled, misconstrued.
Yeah. You said your words. I like this.
I'm just trying to help you out. I know what you're trying to say.
So you've never been able to take this off. My God, that means it has been at least a year since you bathed. You have got to get this armor off. I'm sorry, but no matter what else, anything going forward, just how like you have to be able to take that armor off at some point, anyways. I'll be honest. My vote is, I mean, it's your body, Euros, okay? But my vote is get that shit off of you now.
How?
Cut it off.
I mean, obviously, I've never investigated it.
Taldred begins looking at this. He begins looking for a way to undress Euros, which was the best wording I could come up with, honestly, and I'm not super pleased about it.
You see no obvious mundane solutions, i.e., you get the impression that this might take more than scissors. Why don't we visit Nothing Gold in the Long Look? You have been moved out of the way as this druid of the city moves around the bar.
She will walk up to the bar, the counter here, and lean in towards the barkeep, slide some coins. Is she leaving?
She is leaving. You observe, with your 20 perception, you observe that she has watered all of the potted plants on the southern windows here and on the bar itself. She notices you watching her and looks a bit vexed as she walks out the front door. You could chase after her should you see fit. But you've just walked up to the bar. What an impression you must be giving to the bartender who looks at you with a measure of dubiousness.
She's got coin, so she's gonna slide it across the counter and, ask for whatever brew they have going on tonight.
You ask for whatever they've got, and you get whatever. It's a heady, dark draft. It's what you'd get if you ordered anything. A heady, dark beer. You overhear something as you sit here at the bar. The two agents that are sitting just south of you, they look like they work for some type of courier company. You think you've seen these people before. You overhear them talking about a big score.
What kind of big score?
They're talking about how they're going to spend all this gold. They are going on and on, as young people do, about how they're going to spend this gold, all the wonderful things they're going to buy, and how great their lives will be from here on out. Do you remember where they're from? Where have you seen them before?
I mean, Arabelle, but I don't remember us getting any mail.
You think you remember them from Arabelle. You're having trouble placing that.
Humans. And the audacity of talking about all the gold they have in the same room as these halflings across the way.
That is exactly right. You are here in a pocket of greed. In fact, looking over your shoulder, you see a figure sticking to the shadows. You're surrounded by greedy people. And here you are, bristling with gold. You feel very alone suddenly.
Anyway, I know the bartender is already not impressed with me, but he already knows, like, why I'm here, so Nothing Gold will lean in and be like, what the fuck is that woman's deal?
You roll... Roll insight.
Nat 20 on all things related to this false druid.
You put 2 and 2 together. You have a brief conversation with the proprietor. You think of how you studied the druid walking around, watering the plants. You realize that this must be a service that's offered here in the city. This is someone who fulfills a need, someone who comes in and waters all of the plants and takes care of things like that around the premises.
Where is that arranged? What's the center of that business?
You, with your natural 20, come to understand that they operate out of the Temple of Lyra.
That definitely sounds familiar. Can I roll religion to see if she remembers?
No religion required. Lyra is the goddess of happiness and freedom and flourishing plants. She is not a member of the Seldrine, as was previously discussed, but is perhaps Seldrine adjacent.
Is this a newer temple? Did the people of Suzail always revere Lyra in this way?
How on earth would you know?
Well, she's asking. We're
You
like...
ask. Yes, there's a little bit of cross. Got it. You exhort the bartender to attempt to determine how long has this business been in operation. It's been no more than a few years. You know that right now, in the midst of the spell plague, one of the rumors, one of the things that you've heard and ascertained from many different people is that God's deities are walking the earth right now. This is an immense time of upheaval, and new deities are being forged. Old deities are being pushed into obscurity. And the strength of people's congregation and the number of their supporters is very important. It is such that the Temple of Lyra has risen up from the ashes of many other faiths. A goddess of joy who could not find some solace in that during these dark times.
Interesting. And yet... Okay, alright. We'll mull that over. The people in the corner, whose bodyguards were staring at Nothing Gold with suspicion. Do they look familiar?
No. No one here looks familiar to you, other than the two couriers sitting at the bar with you. Everybody else, from what you can tell, looks new, other than so your interaction with the halflings in the street. But you don't recognize the shadowy figure. You do not recognize the guarded pair in the southeast. You've never met the bartender before.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll take this information back to Ada now that we've scouted out this place. She'll leave some more coins on the bar for the bartender and then skulk away.
You tip well and skulk out. Again, you find yourself here on the eastern waterfront. You sense your cat, your friend, your thrall now, who will scratch the nearest person, walks in a little guard pattern at the entrance to the Temple of Sirik. The two guards study you a bit, but show no particular suspicion, seemingly happy that you are leaving the tavern with an aura of sobriety.
They're guarding this building here that we know from the map now to be the municipal office.
That is correct. They are standing just below the stairs of the municipal office here, that you understand to be a way for citizens to access the government. You can imagine waiting in a long line just to see Ada. How underwhelming.
How strange that it's right across from the Temple of Sirik.
How strange. You find yourself in a den of iniquity. You realize that the Temple of Sirik is between these other buildings that have similar associations in your mind. A tavern where people drink, a municipal government building where people are squeezed for their coppers, and lastly, the Temple of Sirik where people are squeezed for something else entirely.
This unmarked building to the west, is there any indication what it is?
The windows are dark. You gaze inside and realize this might be a commercial storefront for sundries, something that doesn't interest you. Perhaps this is it's the shop of a lay alchemist.
Okay, that also sounds familiar for some reason, but she will make her way west towards the docks.
Go ahead, make your way west.
Realizing as she passes the cat that she forgot completely all about getting the fish, but trust that its attention span will leave her enough time to make good on her promise some other time.
You hope that you're able to outsmart this city cat and deliver on your fish promise at some point. You find yourself somewhere familiar. Still here on Suzale's waterfront. To the south, you can hear the ocean. The sea, sorry.
And so now we're in the residential district, right?
Correct.
Oh, right, the residential waterfront. Okay. So she'll start to circle around Ada's apartment building. Who's this handsome stranger down south?
Someone studying you and anyone else who walks by. He looks rather evasive. When you make eye contact, he looks away.
All right, she'll walk into the apartment.
One moment. You find yourself somewhere familiar. Everyone's here except Gastmere.
Fine. Brenner and Taldred poring over Yoris's armor, searching for a clasp that does not exist.
So nothing gold still looks like Kamar, which might surprise everybody else except for Ada, but...
I'll beckon you in and hand you some documents. This is what we're talking about.
Papers?
Yes, aren't you just inimitably interested in this type of intrigue?
Isn't she offended by papers? I mean, it is a tree.
Okay, wait. How do you even know that?
What? How paper's made?
Yes.
It's paper.
Vellum's cheaper and better, but anyway, she will, as she's looking over the papers, because I was studying them while you guys were doing your thing, she will also tell the party about what she had seen in the Paladin compound. So both what they were talking about, Samantha being alone, the Black Dragon Knights, the strange altar underneath the temple.
Yeah, I want to know more about this heart.
Yeah, go on.
How large was it?
I almost thought it was a dragon heart. It was... And she sort of gestures like how big it was. It's very large in comparison to her, especially. It didn't feel wrong, you know, that sense that you get from the Temple of Sirik. It did not feel like that. But it's also not the source of their magic, despite being very powerful.
They just have it in their basement. This
Mysterious
beast
source
heart.
of magic. Who knew?
How do you think this is not the source of their magic?
It doesn't feel like something of the Shadow Weave.
It doesn't have to be.
Wait, are the paladins casting from the Shadow Weave?
We don't know.
I thought we determined that for sure, but now I don't remember.
Somebody was outside of that temple.
We can assume as much.
Okay, yes.
I mean, so far we've been presented with, what, 3 ways to draw on power? That which Ada followed, the Seldarine, and the Shadow Weave. I don't think that they're pulling from the Seldarine at the very least. That doesn't track too well.
There are other options out there.
Well, actually, there's a temple to the Seldarine right here in the city, it turns out. No, sorry, Seldarine adjacent.
Is there?
Yes, actually, I saw someone wearing fake elf ears.
Oh yeah, some guys are into that. Or so I hear.
Should we check it out? Would they even be open? Night's drawing close.
I do want to check that out. I do not think it is as important as figuring out what we are going to do when the dawn breaks tomorrow and we have to make this decision.
Okay. We have a few things on our plate right here. The ominous heart in the bottom of this paladin keep, which they are not drawing magic from. But they keep a desiccated, perfectly preserved heart in the basement. Got it? On an altar, you said, right?
Yes, it was in a place of power. It was revered clearly and taken care of. That room was clean. You know, it wasn't some musty basement.
If it's not magical, it could just be a reliquary.
A what?
A what?
Something that people pray to. Like an altar. It's just an altar.
So instead of praying to Helm, they pray to a desiccated heart. Is it Helm's heart?
I thought they prayed to Torm.
Torm, Helm? I'm sure.
I'll be honest, I'm having a hard time keeping up myself.
You know that deities have allies.
True.
Temple of the Radiant Heart encompasses a portfolio of allied deities. I believe
That's-
Samantha prays to Torm. Or, sorry, Helm.
Just for the semantics, that is a bit troubling, isn't it?
The radiant heart and this heart.
Yeah, it's extremely troubling. But, far be it from me to criticize where people get their power. But, obviously, it's interesting to know whose side they're on.
Whose side do you think they're on?
Well, unwittingly, the Zent.
Whatever owns that heart.
If
Same-
they're colored.
Well, so
The same
more...
fate as the Flaming Fist, I assume. Manipulated by greater powers.
They are explicitly being backed by the royal family, but not the council. So there is some sort of schism here in the politics of the city.
Well, the royal family and the governing body of the city historically have been separate entities that work together for public relations reasons. The royal family does not want to wade into politics typically because politics typically makes you less popular. They leave that to elected officials. But of course they have a say in it. I'm not surprised they're willing to take a stake when the public entity of this city no longer exists.
Well, it sounds like it's an opportunity for them to have all of the power, so to speak.
I think it's an opportunity for them to choose a seat at the table when the power's decided.
Agreed. So the heart's one thing.
Heart's one thing. Let's talk about all the other conundrums we have to deal with tonight. 2. Nothing gold. As you can see, Yoros' armor is fused onto its body, and now he has doubts either as to whether it's cursed at all, or whether it can even be taken off. Maybe you have some expertise in this department.
Oh, speaking of, Brenner will rummage through, clanking into his backpack, and pull out a handful of very tiny, well-made tools and put them on the table.
What are these?
For you. They're tiny little gnomish tools. They didn't have a stat block. I just took them.
She looks delighted. Oh, you did crime for me.
I figured they'd fit your hands, and I don't think we're going to be able to convince them to build an arm after breaking in.
How short do you think she is? We're the same height.
It's nothing.
No, she's like 4'6". She's like
4'6", okay. I'm like 5'2".
Okay.
Okay. How short
um
do you think she is?
Yeah. Brenner's a towering man. He's like 6'4".
Nothing Gold subtly steps up onto a stool so that she appears to be half an inch taller than Ada. All right, Yoros, come here. Let me look at this armor.
Everybody's gonna have to move.
She'll circle around
I do
Brenner.
like to imagine we're all like, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, squirming around.
Can she maybe roll Arcana to see if there's some enchantment on this armor?
No Arcana required. There is an enchantment to this armor.
What is it? How do I determine what it is?
It is magically enchanted and grants access to the Shadow Weave. Could we take a fiver now? Is that okay?
The choking just led to almost an episode of like fucking ER.
Yeah. Palms started to get real sweaty when we started to try a medieval tracheotomy.
Oh, that was so good. I love that sequence so much.
So good.
Yeah.
Your palms are sweaty, his nipples are hard. It's alright.
I remember I was just a viewer at that point, and I was just writhing in my seat like, yeah, that's
Yeah, like of all the options we had, I don't know. That's not the one I would have jumped to, admittedly.
That was a good campaign.
It was. I really liked it.
I heard it was fun.
I think this one's better. I think this one has better everything.
I think it has a way more obvious through line.
That's a good way of putting it. Yes, there was something that I didn't really embrace with that game was the strength of making things linear. I'm telling you, it's all about less optionality. The more players have, like, if you say you can go north, south, east, or west, you have to write a lot of stuff, right?
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of wide linear, dude. There's a lot of benefits that you get out of it.
Just go south. Trust me, you'll be fine.
Just
Things always seem to go south, oddly enough.
Hello, David.
the gang's all eat. Welcome back.
We've returned, and it is as such that Nothing Gold, you understand the bounds of Yoros' armor as described. You know that this armor grants access to the Shadow Weave. You can tell that it is cursed. You can tell that it has a high protective capacity. You notice enamel in the shape of the symbol of Shar.
So this theorizing that everybody was doing about it being a way that people could track Euros. Can I say with certainty that nothing like that exists, or it's could be ambiguously undercursed?
That seems plausible. You understand that this item is certainly cursed, and certainly that curse is used to have a degree of control over Euros. So yes, you think that that's well within the. You have no firm confirmation for or against, but you think Nothing Gold that is well within the realm of plausibility.
All right, so she'll convey this. In fact, I think she said before that she thought the armor would be a way that someone could directly control Euros, be able to puppet him, so to speak. And she'll say, there's nothing here that explicitly grants that ability, but it's not ruled out either. It's certainly a conduit through which people could do any manner of things. I think our best bet would be to find somebody from the Church of Shar or some other priest who understands curses, who can better look at what's... Taldred?
Taldred, the more you hear the phrase Church of Shar, the more this grates on you. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Taldred says, all right, one remove curse, coming right up.
Wait. Does he want it? Yoris, do you want this armor to be gone?
I mean, it's probably better off than on, right?
Understand this would strip you of your ability to cast spells. We would have no way to get this back on your body.
Can't just put it back on.
It's pretty unknown, honestly.
I'm guessing no.
We are saying that it's likely that you will be giving up your spell casting, quite possibly.
Still pretty handy with a sword.
You don't even like magic anyway, right?
Everybody likes power.
Yeah, he can lie to himself and say that he doesn't, but He does.
I bring this up because obviously the Seldarin is still here, and there are avenues to be able to use their power, but I don't know if that would interest you.
I am just afraid that this curse might do something to me.
I can tell you that curses are a bad thing, and I have personally been affected by one at one point, and that is why I'm pushing so hard to get it off of you, because I did something terrible.
But if you remove the curse, can't it have like a... Can't that trigger something?
Explain what you mean.
Like a trap?
No, I've never experienced anything like that, I don't think.
Well, I haven't either, that's why I'm asking these questions.
No, that part should be fine. You should be fine. That's the whole point of removing the curse from you, is to make sure you're fine.
Also, despite nothing gold, you have ideas that Euros might gain favor with the Seldarine. They're a little selective. They don't exactly bless everyone with their boons.
That's what I've been saying.
Why are you explaining my own gods to me?
I'm not Ada explaining anything. We don't all have the option. When he removes the armor, I don't want him to think that he's just going to get his magic back.
I said no such thing. I just said that it was an avenue.
Yeah,
And have to.
that's exactly what you said.
Again, it's up to you, Euros.
Since Gasper isn't here, I'm going to say something cruel in her stead.
Oh boy.
I think it would be better to wait until after this upcoming confrontation to do magical surgery on Boros.
Or maybe that's all the more reason to do it.
If those, let's say, hypothetically, those in that temple are the ones that hold power over him.
I mean, seems like every other person in this fucking city has some involvement at this point, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Perhaps it is for safety. Do we have something else for you to wear, though?
I don't know.
We'll deal with it in the morning. Brenner will also, in this brief period, put the clipboard and, for brevity's sake, speed the party up to the inventory log of the night market. We've already, over the table, talked and looked at these things, so this is just a good place to narratively tie that in.
Oh, you did find this acorn.
Indeed. It's expensive, but it's an option.
This is an incredible cost. We cannot afford this.
Why not just have them deliver it to the shop and you go and somebody steals it when we go to pick it up? Like, nobody saw nothing gold. Have her run up as a cat, grab the acorn.
It's an option. More so, what I'm getting at here is we'll know more about it in the morning when we visit the bank, see our actual funds, and pan out from there.
Agreed.
Something to ponder over as we have them.
I will say that this is the one thing I would prefer not to exchange money for.
What would you prefer to exchange?
Nothing. It belongs to me.
The acorn.
Why does it belong to you specifically?
It certainly does not belong to whatever merchant ripped it out of the heart of the dryad this used to belong to.
That's a fair point.
We don't think we've brought that up before. To be clear, you want to put somebody like your people's heart into my shoulder? Is that how that...
This might be why I did not bring it up before, but yes, that is exactly how this is going to work. It's not the way that I thought I'd be making the first dryad-human hybrid, but it will have to do.
I'm sorry, I can't gloss over that. How exactly did you think you were going to make the first triad human hybrid?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh my god.
Maybe we should.
How is this acceptable?
No, I really don't want to talk about it.
Why would you not just return the seed? You said it was ripped out of a forest or a heart, right? If it's so important, why would you not just take it back?
She actually does not immediately have anything like snappy to say to this. She sort of like actually looks sort of melancholy as Yoros brings this up.
Like, I mean, I don't mean to overstep anything, but you were just raving about it and it sounded important. It just sounded like you would want to return. Or am I misinterpreting?
No, I was sort of thinking of it like Griff's eye, but it is a little bit different, isn't it? Because this dryad has not exactly consented to us using it this way.
We
Well,
could ask.
I'm gonna
Right?
look at Brenner and raise an eyebrow.
I mean, the eyes just.
Which eyebrow?
This is important.
The
Which
left.
eyebrow?
As I said, we could ask, right?
Well,
I
so
don't
here's
want to
some-
put some unconsenting sentient being's soul. And as it stands, we've rolled the only machine shop in town. I don't think that we're getting a mechanical arm.
It is not necessarily that your life will come at a cost. Rather, grafting this onto you would not take life away from this thing that would have sparked a human form in a tree. So we can give it back afterwards. It's merely a transformation. It's going to be something of a symbiotic thing that happens between you and it.
What do you mean, give it back later?
I think what she's saying is her kind live longer than I do. I don't have a
Yes.
lot more years in this world.
Again, this was not how I wanted to put it, but Brenner in some way would be the earth in which this seed grows.
I consent to that.
Would it just be the arm that he is all woody?
She says nothing to that.
Oh.
Brenner ponders this, as this is not the vision that he had been told.
In your mind's eye, you can imagine yourself as little more than a wood golem, Brenner.
Let's not lose sight of what we're doing here.
Agreed, sorry.
We're trying to gain power, allies, and information to kill Tyranny Fang. All power in this world at this point comes with a great cost.
Yeah. And I want to see this through. My reasons for going have changed. But at least for you lot, I want to see it through. And if the world falls, there'd be no Oswald company to be head up by my protege either way.
The world falls, I go with it.
I think we all do.
Says you.
Taldred turns to NG and he pulls out the little mithril mirror thing that he got. And he goes, NG, what do you make of this? And he tosses it at her.
She catches it and sort of like slips her arm through as if it's just a giant bracelet, and then looks it over.
That is what it resembles to you. Potentially a mithril alloy that appears to have been formed into a geometric bracer for someone such as yourself.
Could this be one of the restraints that they were designing?
Maybe? I'm not really sure. It's the only one like it I saw in there.
Restraints for who?
Mistress Corpse.
Isn't
Almost
that a
all
bit
of the
small? Isn't that a bit small, is all he said.
Mishra was once human.
Fair point.
I mean, she's dried out, desecrated. Probably not much
most of the artifacts granted to avatars of gods are made of mithril. It is a material that's special.
Well, also they're allied with Fae, and given the powers of necromancy, it's very possible that they've also fused her with some other corpse.
I don't like that.
I still want to know where that heart came from.
Go look at it!
I don't think I'm welcome in there.
I don't think any of us are. You said it was this big?
Yes. In fact, the more that we theorize it might be Helm's heart, that might explain why I can sort of reach him, but he can't talk back.
Brenner just shudders.
Well,
If they have his heart, wouldn't they know the answer to what happened to Helm?
We're jumping to a few conclusions here, assuming that this is the heart of a deity, in a Suzail of all places, and not within the keep of some powerful Tierney Fang.
Alright, yes, I can agree with the assessment that this is better left for another time. Alright, so tonight, you will have to decide, Yoros, whether you're taking your armor off. Ultimately, the decision is up to you. Taldred will help you with that, and I trust that he will make sure you do not explode. Speaking of explosions, I would like to blow the Temple of Siric up.
You what now?
That was my idea.
Great idea, we should do it.
so we're not siding with Maris?
Obviously not.
That's a change in tune.
Yeah. What's with this?
Is it?
Yet another turnabout.
Taldred cast Zone of Truth.
You surge with the power of the Seldarine. You cast Zone of Truth. It encompasses the entire room. You feel rather truthful.
Like when it comes to the somatic components or whatever, he really overdoes it to make sure everybody's seeing this happening. Like what is going on? I want this to be very telegraphed. What the fuck?
I think NG will playfully act like she's about to jump out the window, but then just sort of leans against the wall next to it.
Explain yourself.
Explain what?
Why are you suddenly turning on Maris? Did you find us another contact?
Not yet. Ada might have some avenue there, but as you can see, and she gestures to her own face, everybody who has allied with Maris in one way or another has ended up dead. In that sense, I think she is literally a dead end.
Very well.
I don't like
leaves
this.
2 more options then. Scorched Earth, which I've proposed. Or do you feel that we should side with Samantha?
I don't care. She and I had a conversation in which she made clear to me that regardless of the division of responsibility, it is partly her fault that Kamar is dead.
Very well. Then we have a reason, at least from your perspective, to kill Maris. We have your
Why-
blessing then.
Why do we have to take sides?
That's what I'm saying. Scorched Earth.
But you want to kill them all.
Yes. Regardless of how this pans out, say we finally manage to claw our way back to Arabel, go through the portal, slay the Great Lich Tierney Fang. What fucking Earth are we living back? What Torals are?
Not with the people who wanted to sell Cormyr out to the Zent to begin with.
Agreed. And they're not just going to fracture because their leader's gone. The people in here have power. They're calling themselves the fucking Black Dragon Knights now. They've rebranded.
What?
She told us as much.
Yeah.
To that end, this city stays the way that it is, one way or another. It's the same thing with the Flaming Fist trying to take over. We can't leave this place worse off just because we killed one man.
There obviously will be power vacuums, and we can deal with that, or not. That may be too provincial for our interests. We can't solve everything all at once.
Yeah, but what's stopping the Zent from just moving in when there's a power vacuum?
They're pretty good at that.
When we decapitate the serpent, hopefully the body wriggles away.
Well, actually, I'm more hoping that when we decapitate the serpent, the body eats itself, which is much more likely with the Zent.
In either case, we have an opportunity. The meeting of minds, two powerful figures. The leader, or at least a high position of power within these Black Dragon Knights, whatever you want to call them, and the Temple of Cyric. Both are movers and shakers. Together, in a vulnerable space.
I'll be honest, it doesn't sit well with me, killing the Dragon Knights.
So you think that Samantha Ruthenberg and her ilk have our best interests at heart?
I think they have Cormier's best interests at heart.
Oh, they want the walls to stand. They don't care about how much blood is shed outside of it.
That's always been their way.
Maybe you and I have a different opinion of how Cormier stood. While you were in your lofty throne of politics, I was on the field talking to these fucking people. And while you and I both have the same interest at heart, you might have seen a different side of people than I did.
We were both on the front line of the trenches, as it were, but that's neither here nor there. It's not like I like the Purple Dragon Knights. They're a military force that always opposes the free will of the people. Always. And always will.
Is that the truth? Are they not paladins? Are they not sworn to protect the people?
And they're sworn to their deity. They're sworn to protect their ideal of the way that the world works. That's not necessarily the way that the people want it to be. They stand for order, and everything else doesn't matter. Bans magic within its borders. The entire country of in the name of order and regulation. Why do you think I left? There's some amount of protection that's not worth the freedom loss.
So you came here because
Yes.
you saw potential in it. Is that not true?
Yes, I believe in the city, and I will continue to. And after we kill Tyranny Fang, I will be on the front line of opposing such forces. We don't have that many options. Yours is armor, my demon book. We are all making dark bargains to try and grab a foothold in this world. It's easy to moralize from the outside here.
I feel like we're burning a bridge at both ends.
If the Zentarum no longer exist, the Purple Dragon Knights will defend Cormier from its enemies, will prevent the city from falling into chaos. If we decapitate the Purple Dragon Knights, the Zent will remain.
I don't really have an
Forbes.
argument.
Forbes asked me to make sure Samantha was... He told me to bring her back. He told me he wanted her to come back. He told me... I'll be honest. There are times when I absolutely want to strangle her with my own hands. But I feel like the Purple Dragon Knights are more with us than against us in the grand scheme of things. Maybe certain members of them aren't.
No, I agree. I think the Purple Dragon Knights are not entirely corrupted. Samantha Ruthenberg, on the other hand,
Certainly is.
aims to lead them down a darker path. I think we can agree there. And her, whatever he is, Evan Spanbauer.
Would you at least give me a chance to talk to them one more time?
You're more than welcome to, but we've seen what that effect had. Maybe seeing the spilled blood of Maris might change their opinions, but so far you're no more than a fucking adventurer to them.
And that's fine, but again, if we were, in fact, to finally have something to offer to them, something concrete, like telling them about the ambush at the Temple of Sirik, that could be our end. That could be our tipping point right there.
We already said as much to them, and it didn't even move the needle. In fact, we rooted out the Flaming Fist from the city, which is the reason why she came down here in the first place.
I don't think
It
she
didn't move
believes
the
us.
needle. I don't think she would believe anything we said. That's my point.
We've
I
got to
think you're
start
squeezing a
somewhere.
stone. Yeah, maybe. What do we think will happen if we just stand aside?
Somebody will die and then they'll pin it on us.
Likely.
I think that's a good read. But does it matter?
Do you really want to leave Suzale with the entire city thinking that you're trying to do something that you're not?
I don't care if my name gets smeared at this point. I just want to kill Tyranny Fang. That is our goal. We should not lose sight of that. That is our goal. Other people can clean up Cormyr. There are dedicated civilians out there who will stand up if they don't get stabbed by doing so. We need to kill tyranny. What can we do to advance that?
Not throwing away allies.
Neither of these groups are our allies, let's be honest.
We don't have to be direct allies. I mean, as long as they're not our foes, that's a good thing, right?
There's still one thing that bugs me about all this, though, and that would be what exactly is Samantha's link to the Radiant Heart. She was protecting Forbes or Smithfield, was she not?
She
Why?
was.
Why this complete 180? Is it like I truly believe she has some stake in this mission? I do, I absolutely do.
From the sounds of it, she felt.
I think after seeing her alone, I think that being assigned to Arabelle was a punishment for her.
Maybe she had some. Would a paladins do oaths? Maybe she had some oath to it.
She could have been sworn to Smithfield, sure. But now he's dead.
And then there's no oath because he's dead.
But I do respect the fact that you want more information, Taldred. I think at this point, your only option would be to track down Paul.
Also a fair point. I'd forgotten about Paul, I'll admit, with everything that's happened.
Kind of hard to find him in a whole city.
He said he'd meet us at the tavern tomorrow.
You're not worried about what he's doing tonight?
Why would I be? It's Paul.
He's not the only one. He has allies. He was pretty upset that we wouldn't be his puppets and kill Samantha. He wanted us to kill Samantha.
We're putting a lot of ambiguous trust into this Temple of Radiant Heart. Regardless if their point is to kill Tyranny Fang, the reasons and means are muddled to us.
Yeah,
Everyone we've ever spoken to has obfuscated their reasoning. Upon interrogation, it's always smoke and mirror. We know why we're doing it, but not Or we know that we're doing it, but not why.
Well, they're the only ones making the effort, so.
True. We should grill him, though.
Yeah, I agree.
This
And
is a
also-
very critical junk. Go ahead.
Yes, totally agree. And I think you will find him, as soon as the topic of Samantha comes up, completely unlistenable. Everybody in that temple is completely blinded by rage over Samantha, and she seems to have that effect on people. Let me ask you nothing, Gold. You were defensive of Maris, and now you're not. Is self-preservation really your angle here?
You think I'm doing this to save my own skin?
I think you saw what happened to your friend, and can understand that Maris has no interest in protecting you.
Here's the reason I came back and told you all that I wanted Maris to live. It's because I want to strangle her myself. When she dies, I want to watch her draw her last breath and look me in the eye and know that she's not going anywhere near her god.
Across the table, Zone of Truth has probably expired at this point.
I respect that. Do you want us to side with Samantha then?
She does not regret killing me, or trying to kill me, rather.
I mean, to be fair, I think we've all wanted to kill you at one point or another, so.
No.
Really, Yoros?
Yeah.
When?
Not now. A week ago.
What happened?
You being you.
You're gonna have to give me more than that.
No.
You want this armor off of you?
He's a little bit cranky. He hasn't bathed in a year.
She laughs. Alright.
Let's also talk about the elephant not in the room. If we kill Samantha, I don't know if the rest of you have recognized certain moralistic, highfalutin changes in our ghastly friend recently. If we move against the Paladins openly, I don't think Gasmir will be on our side anymore.
What?
That's not true. She saw a use for Samantha, as I did, and I think that she would agree that her vision of using Samantha as our in-between, between us and the Zent, simply isn't going to happen.
That's
She
not-
loves an obstacle in the way.
Has she not seemed more pious to you? Do you not get the sense that maybe Samantha had something to say to her?
Any more pious than before?
I was being an asshole being pious.
Alright, everyone. I guess I'm the lunatic.
I mean,
No, what do you mean by pious? What have you noticed?
Don't you notice that she's condemning people openly? This is not the action.
She's a noble. That's what they do.
No. They condescend. It's different.
There is. Wait, that one.
I think you're splitting the finest of hairs.
We'll see. I think I'm right.
I respect your insight, but maybe we should
Same.
ask her.
I thought she cast a spell yesterday.
Did she?
I'm not certain.
Oh, well, yes, she's magical.
I mean, yeah.
What?
Maybe I should have mentioned that before. Look, okay, so
Maybe she should be the one to tell us.
yeah, yes. See, this is her fault. I'm glad we all agree.
You know, Taldred, you would have made a great spy.
Yeah, I probably would have.
Or politician.
They don't get paid enough.
That's for certain. And I'll
No,
look
they get
around.
paid too much.
Okay. plans going in tomorrow, we still have nothing. Let me touch on some other small points that we may need to uncover. We have all of this Githyanki gear that I would prefer to offload. And I'm looking at this wonderful list of rare and magical objects that would help us in our quest of kill tyranny. Let's not forget about that. I very much would like the staff, but understand if the party otherwise needs more equipment than I do.
I ask only for the arm.
Yeah.
Whichever way we can get it. I can boast as much as I want about my prowess, but missing an arm is certainly throwing a wrench in my plans.
I will
Yeah.
certainly say that that's my number one priority, is getting Brenner his arm.
I agree.
Agreed. I think it's a little early to discuss this, considering we don't know how much money we have on the table
Also
yet.
true, although it doesn't hurt to workshop so that when we are in a position to purchase, we have this all planned out.
Sure, I just think there are other things we could do tonight. If this is
Agreed.
what
Can-
you're gonna do, then I'll head out.
We need to find out how much money we have in the morning. Preferably have Gasmere on hand. She supposedly has a windfall, or at least a present at the bank as well. That will lay the plans from there. We're just gonna have to wing it.
Finding buyers for items like this is not exactly trivial.
Well, we have those halflings. Were they?
I think they're looking to get rid of stolen and dangerous equipment
Yeah.
and foist it on us, not the other way around.
Trade?
Correct.
Across the table, when we were in the night market, did it seem bustling in the sense that there was a prevalence of trade and commerce, or was it just people purchasing things off of the clipboard, as it were?
It seemed like healthy trade and commerce. However, you notice that it's not like just anybody is selling things. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. However, it seems like not everybody is selling things. It seems like the list of merchants must be tightly controlled.
We can do what we can to offload it, but if we can't, we can't. Our time is short.
Circling back to my armor. This curse, can the ability to use the magic be preserved?
That's what we were trying. I think it's a possibility. I'm not promising anything.
Well,
But-
nothing gold has transferred boons of items onto others.
No.
I would be shocked. I would be
yeah, I
absolutely
feel like this is
floored.
a little bit different sport.
This is why I asked the questions.
Fair question.
I do not think you can retain the ability to use magic and not be subjected to the terms of the curse that's enabling you to use said magic.
I'll admit that generally that's not how it works. It's most likely that you will lose it. However, I'll be honest, I have not interacted with a specific curse like this before. It is very strange to me.
So, the curse isn't... Obviously, payments were being made to preserve this, right? How long do we even have left until...
I think the payments were for the talking man. You can still do magic.
Yes, but for how long?
Shard doesn't usually require gold.
Okay. Just leave it be for now, I guess.
Respect the decision.
I
Well,
wish I knew where Gasmere was,
agreed.
Why?
because I want to be at full strength, and I want her to have
Agreed.
input into this decision.
I'm sure we could just message her, or just get on the ruse and go look for her real quick.
She's gonna ignore you. She's having a night out on the town.
Yeah, I'm having a night too. So what else do you want? What else would you do if you left here nothing gold? You mentioned I'm just going to leave. If all we're doing is shopping.
Well, actually, I want to go look at the night markets. There's something there I need to pick up.
We also heard about the Shard Temple. We could scout in the city to see if it exists. Which, in connection to Yoris's armor, that was something we had discussed. Although I have suspicions that it doesn't exist. and that was just nonsense given to you by whoever was powering Moss.
Well, if there is some temple, be it to Shar, I suppose it would be the one open at night, wouldn't it?
I would assume.
Yes.
I think we've come to the ends of our conclusions here. We should probably move.
To the
We don't
tavern?
have a lot of time. Well, did you find anything at the tavern of note? We still have the dealings with your drow friend.
Oh, sure, yes, the halflings are still there. If you wanted to try to hire them for retrieving certain things, I'm sure they would be amenable to that. There are two couriers who seemed really familiar, but I couldn't quite place them.
You mean the
Who?
ones that approached Gasmere? Gave her the box. Happened right in front of everybody as soon as we came into town.
I must have been a cat.
I think you were.
Probably.
Yes, that would be why I didn't recognize them. Well, they were talking about coming into a great score, so I don't know if what Gasmere received was what she was supposed to receive, and they didn't just swap it out on her. But they've come into a great deal of money, apparently, and they are certainly celebrating it, so you could ask them what that's all about, perhaps. And I don't know, there were some people with bodyguards, just claiming a corner as they do.
It's two avenues then. We can check out the rest of the city that we can. Perhaps some of us go to the inn, and you need to pick up something at the market. I think you could probably fold that into the two things: the temple, market, inn.
To be clear, which temple do we think is open?
If there is a temple of Shar, if it exists.
I don't think it's going to be. It's going to be somebody's back closet, if anything.
I was just about to speak up about that. Would Taldred know something about this, probably having been at ends with Sharites for quite some time? What does he know about temples of Shar in general, could we say?
Absolutely. You know that temples of Shar are typically, as Nothing Gold said, someone's closet somewhere, someone's basement, something underground, something distant, something hidden. You know that Sharites are generally not tolerated in these parts, and a temple of Shar is a bit like saying a city on an ocean. It just makes no sense to you. How would you have something like that? It would be like having a placard that says Thieves Guild.
Right. And furthermore, so Taldred is going to say that not so many words, and then he's going to say that it's possible that if there is a gathering of Sharites in this city, when I was in Suzail 10 years ago, when the Zentarum were besieging the city, they used the sewers quite a bit. They actually moved a horde of undead through those sewers, and they're quite familiar with them. And if I had to guess, I bet you there's something down there.
That's a big tale, Taldred. I hadn't heard anything of that.
You kind of had to be there.
Fair.
Another thing I want to mention to the group at large, which I don't think I've mentioned, when Nothing Gold and I went to the Purple Dragon Knight headquarters, we were tailed by a Zentarum agent. Looks like a city spy. And additionally, it seems like they conscripted or magically compelled the crows to keep a watch on movements throughout the city. The reason why I came home, is that I was being observed by this specific halfling spy cloaked in shadow.
Is he watching the house?
I would assume so. I heard a voice outside before.
I feel like you should have mentioned that sooner.
Yeah, I felt.
Well, I'm sorry. I have a lot on my plate here. There's
no
a
one
few
works
things
harder
happening.
than you do, Ada, and we appreciate that. Okay.
That's curious, though. What makes you think the crows are in league with them?
Well, they have boots on the ground and eyes in the sky is what I would guess. Either way, they saw me cast a cantrip and they were all over me. And, Nothing Gold, you mentioned it to me that you thought I could have an in with that person, and that's not the stupidest idea I've heard all day.
I really don't think it's stupid. I think he's obviously interested in you.
I'm obviously a known quantity here, and let's be honest, I stick out.
At
I'm
the
not
very
ashamed of
least,
what I am.
this cloaked halfling didn't put a knife in your back, so that's promising.
The thing about the Zend is that they're rarely hierarchical. A lot of them will be tempted to, profit for themselves however they can, so it's probably easier to deal with somebody, frankly, who isn't bound to some god.
Well, I think it would be kind of trivial to draw him out and have a conversation with him.
Please do.
I don't know how much patience I have for intrigue with somebody like that tonight, but I will do my best.
Do you want to have this conversation alone?
I don't think he's going to come out if a group of armed individuals are around me. Do you not agree?
No, I think that's probably right.
Ada,
What?
the lot of us, you're easily the most explosive. I trust you would be fine alone. You
I
think
can-
that?
I can take care of myself if that's your question.
I mean, if I'm not taking off my armor, I have options to hide away and help you out.
It's not a terrible idea.
Okay, to be clear, I don't think she's in physical danger. I just think maybe somebody could be there to help her with this conversation so she doesn't just yell at this guy for 20 minutes.
And I'll mention that it's highly likely that we're all in physical danger and should proceed as such.
In pairs, still. So, when you go to the market, someone with you.
And, I'll look at Euros. Open magic casting is a recipe for being noticed here. Be subtle if you have to.
Yeah. Noted.
Okay, so are we going back into the night? How deep into the night are we here?
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
It must be approaching close to or even past midnight. Looking to the sky, you see the moon and stars.
Right.
In your mind's eye, you can imagine Lyssa Gasmere having fun without you.
I take it we're giving up on Paul tonight, then.
I think time runs too short. At this point, I'd be surprised if he wasn't already asleep.
I think he's talking to elements of the night, if I'm being honest.
Could be.
He certainly wasn't at.
You think Paul has that kind of pull?
No, I don't.
Either way, I'm tired, and I'd like to get some food. So, I think the tavern's our best bet. Angie, what the hell is that thing, by the way?
What thing?
Don't wear it. You're gonna go. We stole that. Don't go flashing it everywhere.
All right, I'll put it in my pack.
Okay, but it's probably like one of a kind, so be careful. Don't go
Well-
showing it all over the place.
Okay, well, it is your bounty. Do you want to hold on to it, or is it okay if I keep it with me?
It's kind of heavy, honestly. Go ahead.
All right, Taldred.
So
I think I can lay an alarm on this building, and we can detect if somebody comes in.
it's a good idea.
I like that.
So the three of you, or whoever. Nothing gold. I just don't want you to get stabbed in the streets. May I escort you to the night market?
I think I will go with Euros and try and draw somebody out of the darkness.
Should be easy enough.
And I'm gonna go to the tavern to try and get food in my mouth.
Among other things, I'm sure.
You take it back.
No,
Oh, you're lucky you're handsome, boy.
I know.
All right, let's move.
Hold
I'm
on.
going to ritual cast alarm.
One moment, let me read the spell text on alarm.
I would like to designate everybody in the party, including Lyssa Gasmere.
we get some of that gold? Nothing gold.
Where are you going with it?
Well,
You're not shopping right now, are you?
Aldra needs to go eat.
Oh, surely you've got.
I have nothing.
Across the table, it has been advocated that we have enough to sleep in buildings and eat food, but
Yeah,
not to purchase
I know, but
a tangible object.
he might go wild.
If he does, well, he'll just slip the bill to me like he did last time, so.
Tonight, at the
Sometimes-
very least, let's not get drunk. Tomorrow's too important.
I
Don't
also
go
might
wild.
window shop.
To ensure that we don't need to go wild, I'll produce the bottle of gin. Anyone want to steal their resolve before we go out? And I'll smile.
Not tonight.
Fuck it, sure, Ada, yes, let's do it.
I can't do this entirely sober, folks.
It's mediocre gin.
The gin goes down rough. It burns your throat.
Has this been sitting here ever since you left Suzale?
It's a vintage.
Gin doesn't go bad. Just gets worse.
Tell me how you're splitting the party. Or why don't we hold that thought? You find yourselves attempting to arrange yourselves here in the residential area of Suzale, here on the waterfront.
For all intents and purposes, before we leave, I'm just gonna write a little note and hide it behind the easel.
Please-
Ask me if she comes back to the house.
If it is sensitive, please put it in your character chat. Otherwise, feel free to put the subject of your note in Avernus chat, and we can link it to Gasmere.
And do.
Ada Worthware, you cast the alarm spell. You surge with the power of the Demon Weave. At this point, you are reasonably confident that unknown powers observe you. But you sense that your spell took hold. You have a number of people whitelisted for your alarm spell, all members of the party, including the extant Lissa Gastmere.
I never did get an answer, nothing gold. I'll go with them if you don't want me with.
No, it's fine.
Alright.
Split up as you see fit. I have Taldred going east to the Long Look by himself. Is that correct?
Yep.
What about Ada and Yoros?
We're gonna lurk.
Larkin.
You're going to lurk. Nothing Gold and Brenner, you are heading to the markets. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's resolve that first. One moment. You arrive somewhere new. For you, Nothing Gold. Somewhere familiar for you, Brenner.
Brenner will lead the way a few steps ahead, pointing the way, effectively.
You do so.
So she will say, well, the first thing I need to get my hands on actually is a fish. So if you see anybody selling food, go wild. I have debts to pay.
Alright. Brenner will saddle up to the various merchants
You do
pour
so.
over looking for a fish.
There are certainly no fish here at the night market, which is primarily reserved for artifacts, the wares of adventurers, things that would not be sold during the day. Certainly not flounder. You search for fish in the catalog of wares. Voltaire shakes his head at you as if you're ridiculous for coming up with such a request.
Yeah, that's fair.
So while she's here, she does want to pick up the Forlorn spellbook.
Exchanging gold for it.
Yes.
It is 500, is that right? Let's find it. Yes, your Forlorn spellbook is 500 gold.
Done.
One moment.
As she's ordering the spell book, I think it was apparent from beforehand. Is a representative going somewhere and getting it, or is it within the actual marketplace itself?
You observe a representative go somewhere and physically get it from the Zent Customs Shed. It is provided to you. You have your Forlorn spellbook.
Tell us about how well guarded this shed is.
You assume extremely. You sense magical wards when the Merchants Guild representative enters it. You sense magical wards when he enters it. From inside, you can hear multiple people clearing their throats when they enter and leave, suggesting heavy guard even at night.
Okay, and I'm windows.
No obvious ones on the first floor.
These crows that are on the roofs, they're watching us, I assume.
It's difficult to tell what they're watching. Their beady little eyes are so far away.
Brenner will take a step away from the stalls, bring out the clipboard, and tap on the seat. Should we tell them to hold it?
You mean pick it up tomorrow?
Hmm.
That's not a bad idea, sure.
He'll whisk back away towards Vol. Excuse me.
Vol nods at you, pushing someone else out of the way, sensing that perhaps you have more gold to spend.
I've conferred with my comrades. In the morning, could you hold this for us? As he'll just point at it on the clipboard, not trying to enunciate it to the crowd.
He nods, and his finger joins yours in tapping on the clipboard. Ordinarily, we'd take at least 10% as a deposit. I think 10% in this case would be reasonable. Do you have the 888 gold? I've rounded down, for your sake.
Let me speak to my cohort. They'll whisk back around to nothing gold.
He gestures you away.
They need a deposit. It's expensive, so perhaps it won't even move by tomorrow morning.
I'll leave it to you. I would not pay it, but I understand the risk is that somebody else could very well pick it up while we're not here.
More to that end, I have no gold.
That's why I'm saying, if you want it, I will give the gold to you.
It's better in our hands than someone else's, yes.
Okay, but we're stealing that gold back.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll pocket the 888 gold from nothing gold. 888 gold. And whisk it back over to Vol.
Vol happily takes your 888 gold, placing the Heartwood Acorn on reserve for you for the next day.
Can I get a receipt? The name's Oswick.
He scribbles something on a piece of paper. When you say Oswick, he looks up suddenly and tells you that you best keep your head down while you're here in the city. He hands you a written receipt.
Brenner nods. Thank you.
Why don't we check in on Taldred Talton? Taldred, you walk east into the eastern waterfront here of Suzale. 2 guards see you from the end of the block and give you a deep, respectful nod. You see a cat pacing mercilessly at the front of the Temple of Sirik. From inside the buildings around you, you hear murmurs of conversation.
As Taldred walks past the purple, or before I should say, before he walks past the purple dragon knights, he'll say, "Cormyr forever."
They both give you a nod of respect and say, "Forever, Cormyr."
That's what Gastamir was missing this whole time.
They seem comfortable with you. You show them respect and they return it, Taldred. You know how to get what you want.
Taldred keeps going.
You do so. You walk into a crowded tavern one moment. You hear the sounds of conversation. You see a bartender serving many drinks to a pair of humans. You see a gruff group of halflings at a table by themselves. You see 2 aristocratic-looking people with bodyguards watching you as you walk in. You see a drow who rears up as if he's waiting to talk to you, and then when he realizes you're not who he was looking for, he sits back down. The bartender is polishing a glass. Go ahead.
Taldred eyes the halflings, and he immediately makes a beeline for them.
They all look rather unmannered. As you walk up, you hear one of them say to another one, "Fresh mark."
Do they really not recognize me already?
They seem to have deliberately removed you from their memory. They start the same sales pitch all over again. Oh,
Taldred
hi
goes, "Gentlemen,
there.
we already docked. We already talked."
They look between
Okay.
themselves. Unfresh mark.
He goes, Taldred is pissed. He crosses his arms. This better be a joke.
The halfling, who looks like he's in charge in some way, shape, or form, scratches his head and says, "Well, I guess I could cut you a deal, being that you're a known quantity to us. You're not sure if he's messing with you or not."
Yeah. Taldred actually lightens up. He likes it. He goes, "I like the sound of that."
Seeing that he's easily mollified you, the halfling nods his head. He says, yes. Potentially a 5% discount or more is an order for a storied adventurer." You can tell that they're laughing at you.
No, he can't. He can't because Taldred is nodding along with this. He's like, that's right. That's more like it.
All of the halflings are nodding. Good.
Taldred slams his hands down on the table in front of him. He goes, "First, business.
Business.
What's good on the menu?"
Honestly, nothing. You find much better fare in Lorraine, but they have a stew that's passable.
The stew, huh?
The bartender looks over at you, eager to make a sale himself. You sense that many people are seeking your gold and riches, Taldred.
In your mind's eye, you can hear Yoros already vibing for this stew.
Do you want to...
So Taldred continues. He goes, "I have to wait for some deals to clear. You understand. But tomorrow, I'll be looking to make a purchase. Will you still be around?"
The halflings seem pleasantly surprised that they've reeled you in. None of their intentions are particularly tough to ascertain, Taldred. And the halfling in charge says, for a day or two, sure. We'll be here.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Just don't take too long. These wares have a way of walking themselves out the door.
Fair enough. I'll try to put a rush on it. So Taldred had like 12 gold coins that he found from when he raided that Flaming Fist camp earlier. I want to say I ended up giving 5 away, and I don't remember what for, so I'm going to assume I have 7. I just think I have 7 right now. I assume that's going to get me some stew and a room.
Absolutely. You find that it is trivial to transact with your 7 gold. You tower over people who worry about things like the cost of room or the cost of stew. Whatever, Taldred, you've got this. Comma sport.
Fantastic. Let's see. Taldred will just
Do you want to come back? Why don't we come back? Why don't you
do that. Excellent plan.
Going back to the residential area of Suzale, we find. So where did I put my? Oh, there's my Ada. There's my Euros. You find yourselves here. It's getting very late. There's hardly anyone on the streets now. The two of you feel a bit out of place.
Where do you suppose you refine dragon's blood at?
I'm sorry.
Just idle chit chat, that's all.
Oh. I'm gonna walk away from you now.
Just gonna tuck myself away into some shadows. And crouch down. And I'm invisible now.
You blend into the shadows naturally.
I am going to... I'm going to use Mage Hand to create a spectral lantern, like would be held by somebody at a maybe haunted hayride, and hold it in front of me and just wait, tapping my foot.
You don't even get one tap of your foot out before suddenly appearing out of the flagstones a minor illusion. You recognize this anywhere. Just in front of you appears a tiny Zent agent. He appears as if from the flagstones, as if created exactly for this moment, and wags his finger back and forth.
I was looking for you.
And I was looking for you. He holds out a little hand.
I'll go to shake it. Intentionally obtuse.
You shake it, intentionally obtuse. He sighs and rolls his eyes. As short as you are, this man is much shorter than even you. Looking for me, were you?
I were.
And I were looking for your pocketbook.
Your keen powers of observation might notice that I am not carrying any money.
He walks around you. No money. He walks up and starts patting you down. Do you let him? He pats down
no.
your hips. You knock his hand out of the way. Hey!
No.
Excuse me.
No, excuse you.
I'm
I was
excused.
looking
Excuse
to have
you.
a conversation with you. This
Well-
is a little too personal.
Too personal? You think you can just come in here and cast spells? What are you doing? What is this?
What is this? This is Suzale. Where do you think this is?
Exactly. Well under the boot of the Zentarum. And
Congratulations.
it is thus that magic users are taxed.
Ah, yes, quite a tax. What I would like to know, what's your name, sir? Or should I just call you Mystery Man?
You can call me Agent Kind.
Agent Kind. We're all into misnomers tonight. Let me tell you, I would like to know where to apply for a permit to practice magic in the city.
He's holding
No.
up his finger. He's holding
Don't
up his finger
interrupt
while
me.
you're talking. Go ahead.
And where to get an employment such as yours. Clearly, I don't have any money, and I could use some.
He's already writing something down. What? One moment. At least 15 seconds after you finish, he said, "What was that about employment? You wish for a job such as mine?"
I'm just inquiring.
Hardly a unique affliction, I must admit.
The affliction of seeking gainful employment?
Ah,
Are
so
you
you,
saying that most people are not lazy?
so you seek gainful employment. Well, 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 seek gainful employment. Well What are your talents exactly, other than casting mundane little spells?
Well, I have my tricks.
He puts his hands on his little hips. You have an audience of one.
I'm not looking to incur more fines. I know this game.
It just so happens that I appreciate a good trick or two.
Well, does appreciation come with a price tag? Listen, I can't be more in debt to somebody like you.
He nods his head, seeming to appreciate that you appreciate the gravity of your situation. Well, if you don't wish to be indebted, there are things you can do, sir.
Madam, I prefer. Okay.
Sir, please stop. He looks as it. He seems flustered, and his hands go up his torso a bit. Let's review. 1, you're fine. 2, gainful employment. 3, you're doing tricks for me. Is all of this correct, sir?
Madam, and yes, for the most part, there are some details missing, but yes. It is kind of true.
He rolls his eyes. Euros, you see an argument blossoming. Agent Kind sticks out his hand again. Fine, let's start at the beginning. You, sir, owe me... He pauses for a moment as if to invent a number, and he proceeds to 70 gold.
70 gold.
70, that's right.
Do you think I shit gold dragons?
He looks behind you as if to check.
Okay. Answer to the first question, no. Let's move on to the second question.
Okay, won't be paying the fine. Okay, a threat to public order. Okay. Noted. Second, your search for gainful employment. Your resume, sir?
What are you looking for? Are you the hiring agent?
I know the hiring agent quite well. It is such that if you give me your resume, I'll make sure it arrives at the right place. Your resume, please.
Fine. I'll cast invisibility.
You cast invisibility. You surge with the power of the Shadow Weave. You surge with the power of the Demon Weave. You observe that Agent Kind does the same thing. He says something under his breath, and you assume that he's invisible along with you. You can no longer see him.
We're both so impressive.
You suspect that he can no longer see you. You know that he's nodding his head. He does seem rather impressed.
These are parlor tricks. Come on. This is what you do, parlor tricks. And I am in your parlor.
I'm having fun with this trick. Do you have any more?
Oh, you don't expect me to spill all my secrets on the first night, do you?
Just 1 or 2 at least. Tell me this, between you and me. Would you teach me to cast a spell? The voice comes from nowhere. Come on. Come on.
That's what I'm getting in return.
I get you out of your 70 gold fine. That much should be obvious. What, are you new here? First time in town? Wake up tonight? Go. Okay. Yes.
I will take off invisibility.
Agent Kind takes off invisibility. He appears suddenly in front of you as if he was there the whole time. Perhaps he was.
I will cast Friends on Agent Kind.
You cast Friends on Agent Kind. 1 moment.
I'm gonna send you a message while you do this, and he's distracted. Do you want me to step in?
No.
You surge with power from the Demon Weave. Agent Kind sees this and shakes his head. More than that, that's hardly a trick.
Okay, fine. I will.
Teach me to cast, he lowers his voice.
I will jump.
Chain lightning.
Chain lightning.
Teach me how to cast chain lightning.
I don't think so.
I've always wanted to
I don't know how to cast chain lightning.
He peers up at you with his beady little eyes. Why don't
How
we...
about something more your speed? Maybe Agonizer's Scorcher? It's a classic.
Why don't we... I already know that one.
Oh, you already know it.
Why don't we revisit you?
Okay.
1 moment. Here, at the docks in the sales district, we find Nothing Golden Brenner.
I couldn't find a fish. Do you wish to look north?
No, let's head south,
South is the water.
where fish will be found.
Fair enough.
There's the bow of a ship here.
Is there anyone about?
No one that you can see, obviously, but you can detect from inside the ship low murmurs and the occasional sound of people moving things, as if there's some activity inside the ship at night. And there are a number of torches lit here, suggesting that this large ship is, at the very least, occupied.
Does the ship have a name as they sort of walk down the docks?
Obviously, the ship has a name, but do you know it, Nothing Gold?
Is it written across the side of the boat?
Not that you can see.
The scatterings of these docks and these spreaders, previous adjustment to the other side. Is there any fishing implements strewn about?
Certainly
What does
nothing.
this look like?
Nothing strewn about. You search for a masterwork fishing pole that has been left here for no reason whatsoever and find nothing at all. Actually, not nothing at all. You find nothing gold. You can imagine the bounty of the sea, fish of all types, jumping into your waiting net. And yet, nothing gold in your mind's eye. You can imagine a cat coming to collect on its debt.
I'm in so much shit. Actually, wait, is it past midnight?
You look skyward. You have no easy way of telling, but you think it must be.
Does that mean I can roll again?
For?
The Horn of Shantae, because I can do it once a day.
Should be once per long rest. I'm sorry. Yes, but you could do it tomorrow.
Yes, alright, tomorrow.
Could we? Is it okay? Could we take another fiber? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be back in a moment.
I don't want to teach this halfling something.
He's so
powerful.
funny. He's so funny.
I hate this guy.
Teach me chain lightning.
Yeah, what a
He's
fucking-
just a little fanboy.
He's a little gamer.
He's a little
It's
Emperor
okay.
Palpatine.
He's gonna drop some gamer words on you if you don't teach him chain lightning.
I'm looking at what I can actually teach him that wouldn't be harmful. Fire shield, you know? He wants to kill somebody, though.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
I think he wants to blow stuff up.
I mean, same,
Honestly,
dude.
Same, yeah.
He has like that 12-year-old with a lighter energy.
I do
Why
not
else
want to teach him fireball.
would you class into wizard if not to blow some shit up, buddy?
Right.
Brenner is lost in the fucking weeds with this fish plot, though.
I know, it's really funny.
I was kind of hoping that there'd be like previous
A
docs
net?
read it. Yeah, just something like obviously like lowborn folk will try to fish on the docks or something.
I think you're giving Mike flashbacks to Alan
Yes,
spending
exactly.
2 hours fishing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I know he's got the fucking fish items somewhere in his information document.
I got poisoned by Alan, okay?
So
Oh,
did,
that's right. Well, Tierney did, so we're down
Tierney
with that.
did. That's
I-
why Tierney assassinated her.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
we
That
went
was-
over that.
that's
That's why he
what
killed
it's-
all of us because we knew that he had shit himself.
Yes.
And like, if you can't be the Zentarum spy master and have people out there with knowledge that you shit yourself.
It's unfortunate.
That's
think-
actually why he killed everybody.
Yeah.
Lauren also got fucking food poisoning, but I think most of the cast ended up like failing that one really simple DC 10 Constitution save.
Should have let Grint cook it. He's a great cook.
Was there a different one? I feel like there was one where Eden and somebody else wasn't poisoned, actually.
I think some of the cast just didn't eat the fish because it was only enough for like a few rations or something.
Because there were 2 fish, and Eden was like, "Here, you get the colorful one," not knowing that that was, in fact, what made them poisonous.
God, he was a druid too, wasn't he?
Oh, he's a city boy. What does he know
Oh
about
my God.
fish?
How embarrassing.
Umberly rejoices.
If only the
Yeah.
Kakirs were in town to make fun of him.
Yeah. I'm waiting for somebody to fall into their hook, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
That
we can look-
I was just gonna say, I thought Nothing Gold had mentioned the Cathars, like above board very early on. Was that not true, or was I misconstruing some like?
No, she does have a connection to them, but she doesn't recognize
Okay,
these guys, and it's not like they have red hair like Eden. So, I actually assumed that they would recognize Gasmere as another noble family, but
that makes sense. Yeah.
I think that's who the hook is for.
Are we getting a late night session? Oh,
What are you having Kiss over there?
Amethyst and Sunstone.
What is Sunstone?
Good vibes.
I believe in crystal healing, man. I also have amethyst on my desk for absolutely
I
no
also
fucking
have
reason.
a quartz owl
What? Okay.
I have raisins.
and a crochet parakeet.
Busagi from Sailor Moon.
Oh, nice! I have a Sailor Saturn that my sister got me.
Oh yeah, well I got Kirby.
Gurgle. That's really fucking cute.
Have a bottle of wine.
I wish I had a bottle of wine.
I got some founders I'm still working on.
I have Elizabeth from Persona 3. She came with a chair, which is why
Oh,
I
that's
bought
actually
her.
dope.
I only bought it for the chair because I thought it was so fucking cool.
I have a custom-made robot mug.
Nice. I like that mug. I've seen you use it lots.
It's sick.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
Whatever this is.
No worries.
Okay. So we have a quote unquote fishing operation going. You guys are studying this ship. Do you want to come back to you, or do you have new developments here?
I think that we are walking to look at the name of the ship offhandedly. But seeing that there's no one actively on the top of the ship, right? There's rumbling of people inside, but there's no one on the top.
Correct. That is correct.
So at least in Brenner's understanding, and he needs glasses, but there aren't people around.
There are humans within. There are living creatures within 50 feet of you. Yes.
I think we'll pick up back up with that further down the dock then.
Okay. Why don't we check in with Ada or Taldred? Either one of you have. Either one of you feeling particularly impetuous?
Yes.
Great. One moment.
You know, I bet a man like you would love to summon a shadow spawn. I could teach you how to do that.
Summon a shadow spawn. That would be pretty cool.
Can you cast third level spells?
He nods his head. Of course I can.
Just asking.
Can't you? Of course you can.
I'm going to teach you a third level spell, so it's implied. Do you know who I am?
He tilts his head. Of course I know who you are.
Are you a citizen of Suzail?
I wouldn't call myself a citizen.
Were you here years ago?
I'm a more recent transplant, but I must know what is the locus of these questions.
I used to work in this city. I was wondering if you recognized me from that.
You're nothing special, sir. Where's the spell?
Ma'am.
Sir, ma'am, give me the spell, please.
How would you like me to give you a spell? It will be burned out of my memory.
On a scroll or some...
Alright, well give me some parchment.
He...
Pour. Didn't I say pour?
Hold on. He starts tearing his piece of parchment. You realize at the top of this must be Ada notes.
Wonderful.
He hands you a scrap of parchment.
I'll snatch
Come
it
on,
from him.
summon the shadow spawn. Summon greater shadow spawn.
You can't summon a greater shadow spawn. Listen, let's start with shadow spawn. You'll love it, okay? I can tell you will.
He puts his hands on his hips. You can tell he doesn't love it yet.
Alright, I will start very meticulously writing the language of magic. I would use my class ability, Scribe Scroll.
He hems and haws back and forth, waiting for you.
It should take 10 minutes.
The
Did you skip class? This takes a moment.
He seems easily flustered. Yoros,
Well,
you
The
watch.
more you kick and whine, the longer it's going to take Agent Kind. Sorry, go ahead.
Yoros, you observe as something is going down here, certainly some sort of deal. You observe as Ada is doing something for this halfling agent of the Zentarum. Appears to be a dirty deed. Speaking of dirty deeds, shall we check in on Taldred Talton?
Not sure I like that insinuation.
Taldred Talton, do your deeds seem particularly dirty or just regular dirty? You find yourself here inside the Long Look with your regular dirty deeds.
Fantastic. Tell you what, Taldred will sit down next to the Courier's Cormer agent.
She's pretty. She has green eyes, and her and the man that she's sitting next to have matching uniforms of some kind. They both seem rather inebriated. They notice you, and she offers a toast to nothing. Whatever she's toasting must be private to her. She seems very happy with herself.
As Taldred sits down, he's timing this, okay? He's timing it with when the bartender's a little bit further away.
He's rather distracted, moving back and forth. He serves the halflings quite a bit, so there's no lack of opportunity for you to sweep in and do something when old Mike is not watching.
Right. So he sits down and he says, I know. It's kind of weird, right? Two beautiful people in a dump like this.
They both nod their heads. You sense that there's a loss in translation here, but yes, they both understand that they are the beautiful people to which you are referring to.
He says, so what's the cause for celebration?
Roll persuasion at disadvantage.
One of those comes out to a 12?
With a 12. They both study you for a moment and think the better, perhaps, of giving you the details, but offer you a generality. You can sense that they're doing this. They both offer you a full glass that seems like it must have been recently refilled and say, to good days, to plans that come to fruition.
Aldrich says, I will drink to that. Today was good for me as well. I came into quite a bit of money today.
Oh, aye. So did we. Where'd yours come from?
Inheritance.
Inheritance from who?
Family.
Figures. That's sort of how ours was too, a bit.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, not our inheritance, mind you, but things can get rather gummed up, I suppose.
Ain't that the truth?
You share a brief moment with them, and they quickly turn back to each other to discuss their affairs amongst themselves.
Taldred eavesdrops a bit, tries to make it non-obvious.
Roll perception.
Uh, 21.
You understand that they have a magical artifact of great power and value, and now they're trying to get it out of the city.
Really?
That's what you ascertained from about 10 minutes of eavesdropping.
And so Taldred can connect those dots because we mentioned that they were the people talking to Gastamir, and we mentioned, and Gastamir even said herself that she had a package waiting for her, and so is it easy for me to intuit that these people are trying to abscond with that artifact that belongs to Gastamir?
It sounds as if you already have. Surmised it, I mean.
Sure. Do they have any kind of... Nah, I can't imagine they do. I was going to say, does it look like there's a package on them, I should say, or nearby? Like they brought it to the table or something weird like that because they're idiots.
You see nothing obvious. You see no glowing package between them or anything like that. You notice that they are both armed. She has a rapier, he has a dagger.
Taldred's like fake sipping the drink.
You do so.
I'm going to say for now that he's just going to observe them.
You are just about to get a thought out when you feel a hand on your shoulder.
Oh.
You look up and there's a woman in armor there. She looks down at you and says, "Sir, could we have a moment? My employer wouldn't mind interviewing you. Is that all right? Nothing out of the ordinary, I assure you."
No, of course it's not unordinary. Everybody wants to talk to Taldred Dalton.
We'd be happy to give you a few gold for your time.
Sure. Taldred brings his drink along.
You bring your drink along to the table where there are two aristocratic-looking people, the woman in leather armor and the man in gleaming fresh plates, sipping drinks and trading stories. We'll come back to you in one moment. Ada Worthware, 10 minutes have passed. These same 10 minutes that Taldred spent observing his companions. You now have a scroll of Summon Shadow?
Summon Shadow Spawn.
Summon Shadow Spawn. Agent Kind is waiting extremely impatiently. Every 15 seconds, a new sigh, a new complaint. He's pacing back and forth in front of you.
I will hand him the scroll, and before I do that,
He goes and jumps as if to get it.
One thing.
Roll a dexterity saving throw.
all right, I can do that.
He leaps and attempts to grab it out of your hand.
13.
One moment, let me roll. He leaps to grab it out of your hand and is unsuccessful. His hand grabs nothing but air. He goes,
Try it. I want you to try this and prove to me that you can cast this.
as you wish.
I would like to cast the spell Counterspell as he reads the scroll.
You hand Agent Kind the scroll. He starts reading it, and the second he tries to cast it, you counterspell him. Is that correct?
I do.
He surges with the power of the Shadow Weave, and then suddenly you stop him, and he says, "Hey, what was that about?
Hey, what?
I thought we had an arrangement of sorts."
Listen, there's just more you can learn from me.
That's
And I was just demonstrating that.
I have never seen a fine doubled so quickly in my life.
Oh, yes. From 0 to 0.
From 70 to 140, I think you'll find.
Incredible.
I'll have to make a note of that. Is this even the right scroll? What is this, anyway?
What, you can't recognize power when it casts through you? Didn't you feel the Shadow Weave coursing through you?
Hey!
No, I'm right.
Don't you say that. Who do you think you are?
Ada Worthware. Who do you think you are?
Agent Kind.
Okay.
We already did
Good
introductions.
to meet you.
Yeah, it's good to meet you, too.
Listen, I'm just trying to talk to whoever hired you. I would be happy once we are contemporaries to share my spellbook with you, but as of now, I am uninterested.
You're now able to produce a resume, I assume?
I just did.
He looks at the scroll. Nothing on here about education.
I'm sorry. Do you want to know my full backstory, or were you just doing a test of my abilities? I assume this was a field test, and I assume I passed. Whether you like that or not, Agent Kind.
He says a number of things are wrong here. 1, this is not a field. 2, you did not pass. 3, be careful or that fine could triple.
Oh, very scary. All right, third point of order. We've been through the first two. Repeatedly, I might add. How does one apply for a permit to cast spells in the city?
You should know as well that it is actually nice to meet you. I worry that you think I was being sarcastic a moment ago, but it is actually nice to meet you. Should you wish to get a permit for the things you wish to do, go see the magistrate tomorrow.
And the magistrate, sorry, I have not been in this city for a long time. The magistrate should be in the docks district, is that correct?
He shakes his head and puts his hand. Clearly, our dossier was completely wrong. The municipal district is not, well, it's, he points east.
I thought so. Well, Agent Kind, it was good to meet you. I hope you won't be sniffing my farts all night like you have been.
He shakes his head, rolls his eyes, says something under his breath, and disappears. You hear his footsteps get about 5 feet away and stop.
Just so you know, I'm going to kick randomly, so if I hit you, it's not my fault.
You hear a voice from your east. Just so you know, I'm going to counterspell randomly, and if I get one of your spells, that's your problem.
I will reluctantly nod and concede that point.
Euros, there seem to be a variety of troubles happening here in the middle of the street. Checking in the sales district. Brenner and Nothing Gold.
Once they're further down the dock, Brenner will turn to Nothing Gold. If you have any more reservations of this seed, I understand them. I just want to let you know my words marked true. They held power. He puts his hand on her shoulder and kneels down. And casts Lay on Hands.
So before this happens, Nothing Gold is like very clearly distracted / intent. She's looking for something, and so she's kind of like nodding along, like half paying attention to what Brenner is saying, until he puts a hand on her shoulder and starts to cast magic.
No words come from this, but an intense heat from the palm of his hand is placed on her shoulder, soothing like a heating pad would be. A smell of burnt sage emanates from this, and a small red blossom, smoldering, curls out and turns to ash.
She has like the biggest grin you probably have ever seen her, and she kind of like laughs and is very plainly delighted.
Different avenues, huh?
This is a new side of you that I haven't seen before. I haven't pegged you for being as creative as you are now.
I've certainly had inspiration.
How should I say this? The reservations that I have about what we're going to do with the seed honestly have nothing to do with you. It's been years since I've been back to my grove. When Samantha called me an aberration and tried to put a sword through my shoulder was probably the first time that I remembered that I'm not as human as I appear.
I held a similar position. I can't lie. The moment you appeared in that courtyard, I nearly drew sword on you. You've proven to me through these last few weeks my opinions were wrong. Should Samantha draw her blade on you again, let's not say it will go so well for her.
Well, at least it will give us cause to be done with her finally. But I guess that just goes to show that I've been surrounded by people for so long, and It's weird to say this, but trees used to have a language that I could speak. And it's not something that you say with a voice, it's as if we're each a node in a network, and like water, things sort of flow between us. And when I left my grove for the first time, I could hear them, and I could still convey things through them. And now sometimes I hear them, but they cannot hear me anymore.
So sorry.
I haven't thought about it in a long time, and I'm trying not to think about it. Now is not the time to get caught up in what I am. I have things to do, that's all. If all I am is a weapon, that's fine.
Is it?
Isn't that what you're trying to make of yourself?
I don't think that's what I am. You said it yourself. I'm not a murderer. I'm a protector. So no, a sword, a shield, yes.
But a thing to be wielded nonetheless.
I have a hand left, don't I?
That's true. Alright, well, we're drawing a lot of suspicion standing here. I was looking for somebody to help me deliver a package, but I don't think this is the part of the docks that the halflings were talking about.
Perhaps not. Should we be on our way?
Did you notice somebody outside of Ada's apartment?
Aldred pointed him out. Cloaked figure. A little shifty.
Wait, maybe that's who I need to talk to.
Let's go talk then.
Sure, did you want to go north? If not...
Okay. Was simply holding the hand out if you wanted to go. Not of my own volition. It seemed that you were interested within this church.
I am, but I looked in on the Temple of Thorn earlier and it was closed, so I doubt there's anything useful we're going to find out at this hour. I think it'll be much more interesting to see the people who go there.
Let's go see then.
So she'll lead the way away from the ship, and sort of skip back east towards Ada's apartment.
You do so. One moment. But first, Taldry Talton. A voice from behind you calls something out. Last call. The figures in front of you beckon you over. There are two of them, and they gesture toward an empty chair.
Aldred has a seat.
The woman says, "Pleased to meet your acquaintance." As soon as she's finished speaking, the man, her counterpart, almost finishes her thought for her. "It's nice to have you here. You look like a local. We were just wondering if we could ask you some questions."
Aldred introduces himself. He says, "Hello there, Aldred Talton. Incredibly handsome."
They both chuckle warmly at your greeting, and they extend their hands. Adam Cathair and his sister Sarah Cathair each introduce themselves. Adam says, "To tell you the truth, we have questions for a local. Are you from this area?"
I'm familiar with it.
As he's talking, he slides 5 gold across the table to you. We're thinking about transferring some of our operations here, opening up several new plants. Do you know anything about, he moves his head back and forth, the labor market here? Do you think people are trustworthy here in the city? Do you know, is this a good place to find workers? His sister quickly adds, "We're looking for people with a lot of discretion. People who can be relied upon."
If you are looking for discretion, there's no greater city than Cizale.
They both nod their heads. You can tell they're taking mental notes on this conversation. Sarah says, Taldred, was it? Have you ever had to hire anyone here, for a contract or otherwise?
I've had to pull mercenaries from here way back in the day, but that was a while ago when you could still hire mercenaries here.
They both seem very interested. They look between each other and then back to you. So you were a hire. Did you feel safe here? While you were here?
Oh. There's like 2 seconds of Taldred with like a 1,000-yard stare. And then he goes, I mean, yes, these days I feel quite safe here.
They both nod their heads. And you seem like a man of some coin and repute yourself. Tell me, is this the kind of place that you would be willing to spend some of your hard-earned coin in? Could you see yourself forming a life here?
The city's a bit big for me, personally. But there was definitely a time in my life where I would have loved to live in a city like this.
And if someone offered you a better life, you would take it. Is that safe to assume?
Who wouldn't want a better life?
Adam turns to Sarah and says, well, that bodes well for the refugees. Anyway, Taldred, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for the brief answers to these questions. The gold is yours, please. We really appreciate your time.
As soon as he says that, Taldred, like lightning quick, stacks all 5 pieces up and just like squirrels them away. He says, anytime. Thank you. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.
I think that was all. Have a wonderful night, Mr. Talton.
Taldred stands up and excuses himself.
Your pocket feels heavy.
Not heavy enough, damn it.
Not nearly heavy enough. The bartender looks at you as you walk over. It's the last call, buddy. Do you want something?
Oh no, nothing for me. I'm good. Shit, did I get my stew earlier?
The halflings are already moving to crowd the bar.
Oh, they're starting to crowd around Taldred.
Absolutely. You feel
Taldred is like instinctively on that 5 gold he just got.
you.
He palms that gold.
You palm the gold as you realize that one of the halflings seems like he was just about to go for it. He smiles up at you and nods.
Taldred, like, oh god, what's the imagery? I can't think of what the hell I'm trying to think of, but he like leans down and is right in his face, and he says, "See you later." And kind of just walks away.
He looks up at you. Good night.
And he tries to wiggle through these halflings.
You do so with a measure of discomfort as they make it as difficult as possible. The inn seems to be winding down for the night.
Taldred has a room key, correct?
You have acquired one now. You have bargained for a room, and thus you have one.
Okay. Shit. He doesn't want to go to the room just yet. He really, really wants to see which room the 2 Cormyr agents go to.
You may need to wait a moment, so why don't we revisit you, Taldred?
Yeah.
Here, in the residential shorefront of Suzale, nothing gold than Brenner, you arrive somewhere familiar.
I think he was over here. I'll point out over to the shoreline.
Oh, the cat. Oh, no, the cat relocated. Okay.
It's a meandering cat.
Do I see them?
No.
Okay.
You
Brenner will
do.
approach, but
You do now. Do you see them now? They're in your line of sight around the building. So yes, you see them.
Brenner will approach, but give the man enough berth that he's clearly not attempting to harm him.
He sees you approaching. Both of you roll insight.
Low light, I assume.
Yes.
20. Oh, not nat 20, but dirty 20.
9.
Brenner Oswick. He sizes you up and says, "Ah, seas are sure rough this time of year. Nothing gold. This is all just a front." You sense that if it was just Brenner and this guy, he'd be trying to mug Brenner right now. You see him take the whole picture of your one-armed companion, not think much of it, and then he sees you and withdraws with a pithy comment.
We won't waste too much of your time. I had a friend of mine say that a cutter could be found around the docks. I don't know if you know anything about that.
He scratches the back of his head and his neck and says, "Ah, a cutter. Maybe go to the butcher shop. I don't know. Lovely night, though," he says, and turns and walks away.
What's a cutter?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You sense that he's merely trying to get away from you. When he's gotten...
It's-
Go ahead, you first.
She was just going to say to Brenner, it's the sort of thing that makes somebody who run away. So
Okay. Do you want to pursue him, or are we done with that end?
if he wasn't willing to deal with us, then it's not worth it. I don't think any amount of money would get him on our side. So
Fair. Should we go to the inn or meet up with the rest of them?
yeah, I suppose we can go to the inn. She seems frustrated, but and she's sort of like looking around as if she's hoping somebody else also shady will manifest out of nothing, but eventually she turns back to Brenner and nods. Yeah.
As they're making their way towards the entrance of the apartment. Wow, I forgot the word there for a second. The apartment. He'll kind of calmly just ask, "Say we get out of this a lot. Maybe you could teach me how to talk to the trees too."
Well, I'd have to remember first, but that would be nice.
He just laughed.
The comment that I made earlier about the half human druid dryad hybrid, one of the reasons that I left the grove was because there was someone.
Was that someone who taps the Kareem Gold version of herself? Perhaps I'm prying too much.
No, it's just not something I've talked about. Maybe I'm not ready to talk about it. I don't know. I'm just thinking of him for some reason tonight.
I've always got an open ear. I won't pressure you on it. He pulls out the book that he berated you with beforehand and passes it over. But it's not on my character sheet. It is a prop that Brenner has pulled out before. Sorry. It's a book that has just names in it. There is a long list of names in the front, and there's a long list of names in the back, and there's nothing in the center. These are the ones I lost. He points to the front of the book.
He says that, and then she has this expression like, wow, I'm glad I did not just say the first thing that came to mind when I saw a list of names in a book, because clearly we're not operating on the same level here.
My men was a commander my entire life. I know you were close to them, but I'm close to my men too. They're like the only thing of family I have.
That girl that we were traveling with earlier, did you have something going with her?
No. We're
Did you
close
with
friends.
any of these?
Romantically, no. There's not a lot of room for that. You throw your life on the line every day. I didn't really think about it.
Ada Worthware. A message spell arrives in your brain. You are unsure of the source. The message states, I hope you're still considering the terms of my deal. It ends there.
Yoros,
Ada.
when we walk into this tavern,
Mhm.
a man's going to approach us about the sword. We talked about this earlier in the day.
Yes, I remember. You want to trade up one of my only remaining armaments for a rock.
I don't care, but if we don't trade the armament, he's going to attack us.
And
I am offering this to you, so you understand what's going on.
so I just have to kill him. Or, no, that's too much. I just twist his wrist around and then throw him on his back.
Okay. I know you don't understand subtlety that much, so let me say it a different way.
You want me to give him the sword?
I want you to give him the sword because I think it's best for all of us. And I'm sorry about your loss of sword. We can buy you a new one.
I
I'll be at
think
the-
you need to apologize to your eye, if anything.
I think Grant will understand.
I don't think he would. He doesn't seem like the person that would understand.
That may be true.
I have seen many a warrior, and if they have their beloved weapon just leave, oh, you're in for a mouthful.
You
So
know,
that-
that's
so if any-
surprisingly insightful.
So if anything, this is on you,
How is it on me?
because you're the one giving away the weapon. Ultimately, I'm the one trying to protect you.
I'm not the one threatening to kill us.
No, but
Listen, I have his eye in my skull.
yeah, and also his conscience. Eventually, I'm sure, and I'm sure you're gonna love getting a mouthful. Or who knows? Maybe he.
All right. Well, if we are not going to parlay the sword, then-
No, I didn't say I wouldn't. Ultimately, I am just warning you.
Oh God, you're just like my sister. You know, I offer to do things your way, and then you say no, no.
We offer to do things your way, and you're like, no, no.
Okay, great. So we need an actual plan.
Look, I don't know what's so special about this sword, but if he's willing to give up an alleged artifact that has equivalent power, I suppose, that must mean the sword is pretty damn special.
Can you message Taldred?
Always.
I'd like him to meet us at the door before we go in. And we're gonna wait for the rest of the group.
Okay. Is your little friend gonna pop out and...
He's listening, but I don't really care. Agent Kind and I have an understanding. Isn't that right?
do you?
You receive no immediate response, but you have a sudden confidence that you do have an understanding.
Okay.
I think you may be right about the sword, and this is going to be a confrontation, and I would prefer us all to be there. That's all. I'm willing to admit that you may be right here.
One more time?
I'm willing to admit that you may be right here.
Oh, thank you. I will message Taldred.
Let's make our way over.
You cast.
Oh, and Euros,
Go ahead.
Ada.
thanks for having my back there.
You are casting the message spell, is that correct?
Correct.
You do so. You are messaging Taldred Talton.
Correct.
What is your message?
Taldred Talton. Incredibly handsome.
Mm.
Can you please meet us at the door of the tavern? We are coming over.
Very well.
I'm going to hurry Euros along before he sees Brenner and Nothing Gold.
You are hurrying to the east there.
We are.
To
And we're
be
going
fair,
towards them.
I'm trying to cast and drive at the same time, so I'm only looking forward.
Yeah, I'm like grabbing you by the elbow.
You find yourself somewhere familiar.
I'm not making eye contact with this temple, so I'm looking right at these purple dragons.
They both size you up and seem satisfied.
I will slightly nod.
They return
See
your
the
nod.
cat?
You do see the cat. It seems perturbed.
Does it look like Nothing Gold?
Yes.
Ada.
What is it?
Why is Nothing Gold still here in front of the church?
She's not. Let's move.
What are you talking about? She's right there.
The cat.
That's a common cat.
The cat yowls. It seems aggravated about something.
Let's move away from this building.
What do you mean that's not her?
It's not her. I saw her earlier. She's behind us.
Yeah, right. And I'll just turn around and point at the cat again.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It is Nothing Gold. Let's leave her to her machinations.
Oh, okay. I just don't see the benefit of being a cat all the time.
Me neither, to be honest.
You walk into the tavern, is that correct?
Incorrect.
No,
Okay.
we're waiting outside.
I apologize. Oh. Okay, you are waiting outside. Inside the tavern, Taldred Talton. You find yourself besieged by halflings. Your 5 gold seems to be like a magnet for these grubby little citizens. They keep...
Taldred. Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, I want to hear you go first.
They keep coming up with convoluted reasons to pat you down and offer fake camaraderie, and you can tell they're just going for a coin purse. No matter how unsubtle the attempts are, they can't seem to keep their hands off of you.
Taldred is like pirouetting through the crowd right now. Like he is just like sifting towards the door.
Heading outside?
He's heading just to the door because did you guys say come outside or go to the door? I heard to the door.
I said outside of the door.
Got it. Yeah, Taldred doesn't want to take his eyes off the Cormier agents, but he obliges all the same.
You do so. One moment.
He keeps patting himself down as he walks through. He's mumbling under his breath.
You arrive, 5 gold intact, in the pleasant salt air of the eastern waterfront. You see 2 of your companions.
Taldred, good to see you. I just got messaged from the drow man who spoke to me earlier today about the transaction with the sword.
Okay.
I just want to be the 5 of us, or 6 of us, when we go in together. because Yoros here brings up a good point that it's probably not a good idea to piss off Brent Grommel.
I hope you're wrong about that.
About what?
I kind of sold his armor.
A warrior doesn't care about their armor as much as a weapon.
Okay, I guess. Are you sure you want to piss off Drow royalty?
I just want the path of least resistance here.
That's
and
what I'm going for as well.
whatever that is, I don't know the Warriors' credo, but either way, we should all be here and make the decision. NG and Brenner should be here shortly.
Have you tried talking to his head?
No, you wouldn't let me.
We can try, but I don't think it would be a good idea.
Okay. You
A
think it's
man
better
like
to
that-
ask forgiveness than permission? Smart. I like this.
Yeah, a man like that doesn't want to be bothered. Unless it's for a really good reason.
Alright.
I assume since he let us rob his corpse, he doesn't care that much about the weapon.
I don't
But
think-
again, I don't have as much insight. I think Brenner is probably the best one to ask.
I don't think he thinks we robbed him. I
We
think
asked him, can we take the stuff on the body, and he seemed not to care, if you recall.
because he was going with us. I assumed. I think.
He's
Maybe
a
you're right.
Ghost.
I don't know.
You never know. Even spirits hold attachments to physical things.
That's true. Okay. Either way, I appreciate your company. I would prefer to go in together. I don't want to cast something in a crowded tavern. I don't want to kill somebody I'm not intending to. Scene.
Shall we, are you moving inside, or shall we revisit your compatriots here?
The second one.
Oh, compatriots? Nothing gold than Brenner.
As they're, I think this conversation's happening as they're walking towards the end at this point. They're not just stopped by the brush. Can't meet you on a romantic level with whoever this was. But if you mean someone that important to you, you've already met mine. Elias is like my son. Not in blood, but I wasn't the blood of my father either. Garrick, Yulia, Isley, Udum. They're like family. I mean the world to me.
You barely said anything to him.
He disappointed me. Perhaps I'm not the best father. And then he made me really fucking proud. Did you Oh, I shouldn't gush.
I mean, I was there. I saw it.
He's the Iron Fox now. We have a job to do. And I want to see this world in a place that he can do his job too.
Yeah, no, I think it was smart to sort of separate yourself from that. No matter what happens to you, he'll have this.
Yeah. Really hope we don't die during this.
She says nothing.
And see.
You walk eastward. You find yourself somewhere familiar.
All right, so the fish.
The
I
cat
said-
sees you and yowls immediately.
She'll cast speak with animals as she's explaining the situation with Brenner. You see, I made this promise to this cat to get him a fish, and there was no fish.
Oh.
I do not have any other food for this cat.
Brenner will approach the cat with nothing gold in tow, if possible, rummaging through his pack and producing an iron rat.
You produce an iron ration for this little cat. Nothing gold, the cat interrogates you in frantic dialogue as soon as you walk up. Brenner, you are soothing it with bits from your iron ration. This will cost the entire ration.
100%. He's just pulling the key away and setting it about 15 feet for the cat to approach it. He's not dumb enough to try to handle the cat.
You do so, giving the cat a healthy distance as you set out your opened iron ration for it. Instantly descends on the meat in the ration and starts to devour it. Its tail flicks back and forth pleasingly.
He'll pull the thimble of jelly and down it, doubting the cat would want it.
It tastes peachy and healthy.
If you want this jelly, it wasn't interested in it. This honey that she
Oh.
pulls out the little jar.
A fair trade, that. He'll take the jar of jelly.
You have a jar of royal jelly from provenance unknown.
Write it down. This is
Alright.
for the fish, then.
Ada Taldraduros, you see your distant companions on the Western Road.
I will make myself visible.
Yeah, I think after soothing the cat and fulfilling to the best of her ability her end of the bargain, she will say, "Remember, the first person who comes out, scratch. I'll see you later."
You bid the cat best farewells as you descend upon your party.
I guess she was just waiting for Brenner as well.
Hello. I just received a message from Prince Itaran, who is interested in the sword and in the tavern. I don't know why he's messaging me this late, but he must have eyes on us somehow. I am proposing to trade the blade, but Yoros brings up a good point that perhaps Grint would not be thrilled about this, as a warrior is very attached to his blade. I think he probably has more knowledge than I do. Brenner, what are your thoughts?
I'll say it outright. I was attached to mine. Mine held familial reasons. It's more of a token than anything. If I gauged Grint through what brief conversation we had, he wants to see this done more than anything. I doubt he cares how we do it. If you're worried about carrying a blade, Yoros, we can get you another.
Ultimately, that's not what I'm worried about.
You're worried about a ghost haunting you.
Yes.
A fair fear to have. So he clasps you on the shoulder and makes his way towards the door.
Taldred, would you broker this deal for me? You have a better nose for this than I do.
Fair enough. Yoros, if you'd like to hand me the sword.
No.
So you don't want to trade it then?
No, I will trade it, but I'm not going to outright let you walk straight in with it. In case he tries to pull something.
That's fair.
Let the boy broker his
Sure.
own deals.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, okay.
I'll shrug. Whatever works. I just guys, I just want to go to bed. It's been a long day.
Yes,
Agreed.
please.
Oh, did you meet your friend?
Yes. He's met you too.
Going inside as a group?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
One moment. Activity here inside the Long Look seems to be winding down. It is getting rather late, and you watch as the bartender walks around snuffing candles one by one. As you walk in, the Drow Prince sees you, Ada, and stands up by his table. He gestures toward the bench across from him.
I will sit and say, "Forgive me, but these are my companions. They're here to broker the deal."
He suspiciously looks between the lot of you and says, "No matter. I see no reason to be distrustful of you for bringing your companions. But did
I'm
you
sure
also...
You're not alone here either.
I am not. Did you bring my sword?
Yes.
Wonderful. I brought something that'll be of great interest to you as well, Ada."
Taldred sits next to him.
You sit next to him. He looks over at you. He doesn't seem particularly suspicious of you in particular, Taldred. He takes a small leather pouch out from his belt and sets it on the table between you and him, Ada.
Taldred said, could we maybe do this in a room or something, away from prying eyes?
He looks over all of your shoulders. No. I
Okay,
feel
just-
perfectly safe here.
Okay, I will simply tell you that group of halflings at the bar kill people and steal artifacts for a living. It's what they do. But if you feel safe, fine, whatever. We're 5 armed adventurers. I'm just trying to be cautious.
I would rather be caught dead than be robbed by those little hairy-footed lesser creatures. It's not a problem. I'm here for the sword. Please don't distract me.
Let me see what's in the pouch.
As you wish. He opens the leather strap, holding it closed. You see something within Ada, a solid gold eyeball. You can taste ozone and blood in the air. You can feel the cold winds of the spine. He closes the pouch. Useful for you more than anyone else. I can always tell when someone is in the business for an eye.
Can I make an Arcana check?
You can.
What was this thing? Is what I'm trying to discern, and most importantly to me, I don't want to have to take out my only remaining natural eye to use this object.
Roll Arcana. We'll do it one. What is it? 2, what would be necessary?
17.
17. Ada Worthware, that's the Eye of Vecna. Care to roll again? Roll that second Arcana check.
No, I'm good.
What's that?
Across the table, one of the most powerful artifacts in all of D&D.
Like it's a known.
Yeah.
Vecna
Incredibly notorious.
is the most powerful lich that ever lived.
Okay.
He famously lost his hand and eye to his lieutenant, and these are some of the most sought-after items in all of D&D history. The Eye of Vecna and the Hand of Vecna together, canonically, it's held by a man who lives on the astral plane in a house of his own, and he just slays anybody who comes near, including deities. He's like a level 30 crazy motherfucker. The Eye of Vecna permanently alters and corrupts you.
So what's it doing here?
Great question. My eyes will go wide.
You sense immense power in this thing. It almost seems too good to be true. Roll your second Arcana check to determine what would be necessary.
I don't know if I have to. 13. I mean, the legendarium of this item travels with it, right?
Correct. Yes, you have a funny feeling that this would take your remaining eye, if you can even call it that, Ada Worthware. But power comes at a price, you sense.
Francie Terran.
Ada Worthware.
Can I ask you if you have something of lesser value to trade?
You what? Taldred says, like, as loud as he possibly can.
Your
I'll
voice
hold up my hand.
Your voice echoes across the tavern. Its glasses move slightly with the force of your words. Everyone looks at you. The Drow Prince rolls his eyes a bit. Okay. How do I put this? Do I have items of lesser value? Of course I do, but it is nothing within the same realm. The sword you have is probably equal in stature. Do we have a deal or not?
I need the night to think. I think you will understand my trepidation here. I am not Drow. It is not second nature to me.
Everything you say is true. I have no doubt of that. My time here is limited, however. If you need the night to think, I will do my best to be patient.
The morning, you will receive your answer, but I need the evening.
He leans across the table. I will receive your answer in the morning. Is that right?
That's what I said.
And he seems to be almost salivating, and I assume that what you're going to be thinking about tonight is merely the logistics, not whether or not you'll be accepting the deal. Is that correct?
I have much to consider, Prince.
Yes, you do have much to consider, so please consider it carefully. He steeples his hands and places his hand on his brow as if he can't wait for the moment.
Prince, you've waited hundreds of years for this moment. What's another evening?
You say that like someone who has infinite evenings to waste, and yet I can see from the wrinkles in your brow that you do not.
Which is why I must consider, because I don't have infinite evenings to waste. I think the cost is heavier for me.
Then I wait to see and hear from you tomorrow morning.
Very good. And I'll just push myself away from the table and walk away.
You do so.
As his friends were arbitrating this deal, Brenner was trying to find 4 more beds within this tavern wall.
You realize that all you've got is the one room that Taldred Talton has. Everyone else seems to be already shuffling away for the night. It is getting rather late. Even the halflings, ever robust and able to drink, seem to be heading to a room. No one seems like they are tarrying for long here.
Sorry, Taldred. Looks like we're bunking with you tonight. Probably for the best.
That actually works for me, because here's the thing, right? I'm just going to assume that I have knowledge of the general layout of this place, because that looks like a bath over there on the eastern side, right?
It is, Taldred.
Taldred says, I need somebody to stand guard while I take a bath, because those goddamn halflings have already tried to frisk me once, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll
Why don't
post
you
watch.
why don't you just leave all of your stuff in the room, go, take your bath, come back. They won't have anything to steal.
No.
Do you not trust us with your things, Taldred?
That's not what it's about, okay? I just want to have all my stuff with me. I don't see how that's weird.
It's a
It
little weird.
wasn't weird until you just said that right now.
How is that weird?
Can you not take off your armor too?
Shit. So Taldred's eyes go kind of wide about that, and he goes, Of course I can. Of course I can. I bathe, okay? Regularly. Unlike some people, all right?
Have we seen Jesus Christ. Have we seen Taldred without his armor at any point?
No.
I think that flies over Brenner's head.
Can we make for the room? I think we should all stay together.
Agreed. I'll post watch if you're that clingy.
We should definitely post watch. And we should overlap if possible. Now, let's get the 5 hours of sleep I was promised.
Yeah. Are we in the bottom left?
That's correct.
And Brenner will post up outside of the bathroom if this is the one with the bath.
What we will do, so give me no more information. We will cut the session here. And next week, next Saturday, we will pick up at exactly this point where you set up things like a watch order, for example, and everything that comes with it, including potentially the return of Lyssa Gasimir. So why don't we cut it here? We will pick up exactly here next week, next Saturday. Remember, not Friday, we're playing on Saturday. Everyone is still good for that, right? This is kind of what I'm hoping for, a long session. So if you have the time, it would be great that we could do 2 to 3 major sequences here. So I would love to really get it dialed in. So if everybody's here, everybody's good. I will see you next Saturday.
Could we start earlier if we're going to go later?
Does that work? Let's say, could we start like an hour early? Would that work for everybody? Like around 4 Pacific?
7 Eastern? Yeah.
7 Eastern? Yes.
Taldred?
Yeah.
Yes, I can swing this. I can swing this.
Okay. I will ping everybody, and I will make sure that we want to tie in Ridley because we don't know if they can make it an hour early.
Yeah.
So let me ping everybody. But yes, if we can, let's meet an hour early next week so we can get through a lot.
Sounds good, man.
Super pumped.
Me
Hate
too.
my eyes. Get
Super
them out of my
excited
face.
Like, me, Felmari the player, please take the fucking Eye of Vecna. That's so sick.
Can I do it? Oh my god, I don't know if I can do it.
You'd have
Two
the Eye of
cursed
Vecna.
eyes. Yeah,
and
like
the Eye of Grant.
like you don't want to be a god. Eye of Grant,
I
Eye
play
of
Tyranny
Vecna,
in 2
literally
campaigns in a row?
unstoppable. Oh god.
Like, I'm literally just becoming Tierney again.
Well, why isn't it given that Ada gets the eye?
What, are you gonna put it in your head?
No. My only argument is that we should take it so that Tierney doesn't get it. Like, obviously.
Also, a good point. Yeah. God, I wonder if Taldra would take it. You said it's solid gold, right? That's
Solid gold.
shiny.
Very.
Oh.
Take it.
Does it come with the Book of Vile Darkness? Oh my god, this is so awful. Why did you do this to me? I'm so upset.
I'm excited, both for next session, and thank you for running later this one. It was a very
Yeah.
fun one.
Yeah.
Of course.
It was.
Yes. Have a wonderful night, everybody. I will see you next week.
Good night, everybody. Have a great time.
Good night.